ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಬ್ರೋ. ಹೇಳಿ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬಿಡಿ. ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಬ್ರೋ, ಡ್ರೈವಲ್ಲಿ. ಡೇ 3ಗೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಅಭಿಜಿತ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಹಾಲ್ 1 ಅಥವಾ ಸಚಿನ್ಗೆ, ಇಬ್ಬರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ, ಡ್ರೈವ್ ಲಿಂಕಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಹಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕೀಪ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಡನ್. Now that I have spoken about all the things that we have used and applied to the human and I will continue to do it. You know that nuclear is not just a single use case. It's a co-pilot package that we get. It has a lot of agents that are purpose-built and are domain agnostic. We have a very strong orchestrator that also used in creating the co-pilot. We have industry-specific agents already designed based on our expertise in local industry. With these, you will be able to create co-pilots very quickly. You can have co-pilots quickly created for the pilot. At the same time, you can have one created for data that understands operations. These co-pilots, while they have the industry knowledge, they are built to absorb the right knowledge of the company and learn from each interaction. ಸರ್, ಬ್ರೇಕು ಓದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಓಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಸಾಟರ್ಡೆ
20 ನಿಮಿಷ
ಚೆಕ್ ದ ಆಡಿಯೋ.
ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿ 20 ನಿಮಿಷ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡೇ ಸಾಕು. ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
-25 ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಆಡಿಯೋ.
ಆರೆಂಜ್ ಲೈನ್ ಹತ್ತಿರ ಬರಬೇಕಷ್ಟೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ತುಂಬ ಜಾರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಹೌದಾ, ಇದೊಂಚೂರು ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ -20 ಇದೆ.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಡ ಬಿಡಿ ಸರ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಕೂಡ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕು ಸರ್? ಇನ್ನೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬೇಕಾ? ಶೇಕ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
ಇನ್ನು -20ನೇ ಇದೆ. ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಏನಾರು ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕೇಳೋರಿಗೆ ಹೆಡ್ಫೋನಲ್ಲಿ
ಯಾರು ಕಂಪ್ರೆಸರ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ರ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡ್ಲಾ?
ಲಿಮಿಟ್ರ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಆಗ್ತೀರಾ?
-6 -9ಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡಿ.
ಲಿಮಿಟ್ರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಕಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹೈ ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್ ಅದು ಮೋಸ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗುಡ್.
-6
Well, listening it won't be good.
But they won't be speaking much louder. They won't be speaking much louder.
This for that. But why do you want to increase it too much?
But it's -20.
Is it bad? It's okay. If you want to increase it more,
increase the sound a bit.
Yeah.
Check now.
See, -25 it is.
There's no increment.
-30, -25.
And another question is, as LLMs are not with numbers, how are you going to have this efficiency? How are you validating? If I have, let's say, large data sets, such as default algorithms. These are very good questions.
ಲೈವ್ ಕೊಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು.
It's going to peak also.
ಅದು ಹೋಗಿ ಅದು ಸಾಟ.
I think when you're playing some video and all, it might peak.
ಬ್ರೋ, ಹಾಲ್ 1 ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದ್ರದ್ದು ಹಾಲ್ 1 ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ?
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆಯಿತು ಬಿಡಿ.
ಆಯಿತಾ?
ಅದೇ ಫೈಲೇ ಕಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಬಿಟ್ಟೆ, ನಾನು ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ.
ಈ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂತು, ಅದರಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೆಟ್ ಇದೆ ಬ್ರೋ.
I don't know, like, yeah, there's some serious problem with Wi-Fi is very bad. Network really.
ಬರೀ ಹಾಲ್ ಟು ಹಾಲ್ 500 ಜನ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ.
ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋರು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ತ್
ಅದೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ.
ಚೇಂಜ್ ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ.
ಮೆನಿ ಪೀಪಲ್ when
ಕನ್ಸೋಲ್ದೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
-25, -20 is fine.
limit
No, I'm not limiting.
it should be near the torrents. That's what I think. Audio यहाँ का ले रहा है शायद.
the execution environment with the data. You get the insights and then they use it to deliver.
Okay, so I have basically business outlook, which all has been doing. And so for SMEs, so that means anyone can focus on the concerns so that you model and supervise.
So, like I said, we don't have just one agent, right? We have multiple agents for different parts. So it's not that we give original question and the final answer to the SFT. The fine tuning is specific to the components, and we can discuss that obviously offline. Yeah.
Hey, hi. This here. So I'm Karan from Skogo, and internally we've been building a similar system for our own product at in-house. So first of all, thanks a lot for sharing your principles and your wisdom with us. It was really helpful. I want to understand at what scale in production you have deployed this, and how does it look like? How was this is working in production? Any case studies for us to kind of really believe in these kind of things in production if this works or not?
Yeah. We have deployed in few places where it is working well for a few hundreds and a couple of thousand users. The details of the case studies can be found at the booth, and we can provide you the full details of that.
All right, I think we have one question over here, and then if our volunteers can please reach out to the gentleman over here. Can you please have your hands up? We'll get a mic to you. Here in the front, there.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Great presentation.
Thank you.
My questions are from the user perspective.
Yeah.
So I would probably be a user of your service. So three questions, combination of three. One is very well put together by you, saying that one agent cannot do everything, right? So you need to have multiple agents. How is that going to impact my cost as a user, having to build multiple agents for the same task, right? That's first. Second, you also spoke about the detour and the resumption, right? And the practical challenges what we have seen using LLM is basically the muscle memory, or what you call the long-term memory, right? So how effectively are you trying to solve that challenge with your system? And the third one, obviously, is with respect to the efficiency. Like you said, currently LLM, you cannot measure an efficiency, right? You cannot define saying that this is the efficiency of the product. But in long term, how do you see, how are you going to fix that challenge? Because as a user, for me, it is very important that the efficiency is more than 90% or 95%, right?
Right.
So these are the three questions.
So the first question was, if we are building many agents, how does that impact the cost? See, once you have designed the system, once it is implemented, the cost, the main source of cost is the token usage. Now, whether you use one agent or 5 agents, your token usage for those costs is going to remain same. So it will not have any incremental impact on the cost, while you will get better quality output. The second question was around memory. Yes, thank you. Yeah, the problem with memory now. So the second question, when it happens, we pause the main question execution, we freeze that in the memory, in the short-term memory, and then we perform a detour, and we take a summary of that and provide it. So nothing from that specific detour goes as is in the long term, but the overall analysis at the end of the session goes into the long term and then gets invoked at the right places in future. The last question was about the accuracy measurement. So we are measuring the accuracy. I was just trying to say that it's just not single formula. We make sure that we measure the accuracy of each component and also the overall system, and then various custom metrics that we have come up with, and certain things that we have taken from academia, things like completion rate, the accuracy of, let's say, there is one part that is text to SQL system, which we know how we can sort of measure the accuracy, the query correctness, the output correctness, and so on. So it's all baked in. In fact, our development is largely eval driven. We build a system, we run the evaluation, we identify the issues, and then we sort of improve the system. So it's baked in.
Check. Yes, Ankush, thank you for that. Can we please give him a huge round of applause? Ladies and gentlemen, I know that there's some of us who still have questions for Ankush. He will be here at the venue. You can approach him and you can address those questions in person, Ankush.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that session.
Thank you.
Ankush Chopra, ladies and gentlemen. All right. For those of you that were unaware, just letting you know that the session by Vipin Rastagi has been cancelled due to unforeseen circumstances. However, we've just finished our session with Ankush Chopra, and next up will be having a session by, any guesses? Some of you do have the schedules. However, we'll start off. This session is about AI policy, which is evolving rapidly, and proactive engagement, which can turn regulation into strategic advantage. This session explores how founders, coders, and leaders can co-shape AI regulations in India, understand how legal foresight can guide AI adoption responsibly. Please welcome on stage Krishna Gandhi, designated senior advocate at India's Supreme and High Courts and founder of GLC and Partners. Krishna brings unmatched expertise in AI law, helping tech leaders navigate and influence policy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Krishna Gandhi to the stage. Can we have a unified and a louder round of applause, please? Thank you. Over to you, Krishna.
Am I audible? Good morning. 20 minutes is a very short time for talking about law, but I think my organizer friends realized lawyers speak too much in courtrooms, so they tried to constrict my time as much as possible. So we're going to shift gears a little bit here from all the tech talk that's been happening, I think, over the last couple of days. And we're going to talk about law and policy. And effectively, what I would like all of you to walk away with at the end of this session is, while it's true that there is no specific AI-specific laws in India and AI-specific regulations in India as of yet, as of today, if you are an AI company or you're building AI products and services, that you are actually being regulated by a number of laws in India as of today. And that's what I would like to have you all walk out with here today. So we'll start with the general layout for the agenda today. I just want to talk quickly about regulation versus governance and the difference in the terminology. We'll talk about the AI regulations in India. We'll talk about international AI regulations, and then we'll close off with some recommendations that I have to get you future-proof and future-ready. So one of the terms that confuses a lot of our tech friends here is the difference between regulation and governance. And I'd like to just think about it this way. Regulation is outward-looking and external-looking, and governance is inward-looking into the company. So regulation, when we speak of regulation and the laws, we are basically talking about what the government imposes on you. When we're talking about governance, we are talking about what we impose on ourselves. So be it ethical practices, principles, and guidelines that you develop internally for yourself to make sure that you're running an ethical AI company. All of that comes under governance, while regulation is external looking. So having set that up, like I said at the beginning, yes, it's true that we don't have an AI law in India like we have in Europe. As of today, there is no AI law. There is no AI-specific law. Having said that, if you are an AI product or a service company, there are certain laws that you need to be aware of. And I want to break it down into 3 different buckets. One is what we call general laws in our country. 2 is subject-specific laws. And 3 is industry-specific regulations. So these are the 3 buckets that you need to be aware of if you're managing an AI company. General legislation, subject-specific legislation, and industry-specific regulations. Now, when we talk about general legislation, most of you here are probably aware that there is a DPDP Act, Digital Personal Data Protection Act, that came out in 2023. This is probably the most crucial piece of legislation as far as AI is concerned. We will talk about that in just a minute. And then we also have the IT Act of 2000. This has been around for 25 years now, which has been modified from time to time. And then finally, we have, surprisingly so, IPC, the Indian Penal Code. So if there are certain violations with respect to what your AI product does or services do, at the end of the day, you could be liable under certain provisions of the IPC. Now, as far as the IT Act is concerned, I just want to give you a couple of examples. If you're caught liable for any data security breaches or negligence, you could be pulled up under Section 43A of the IT Act. That's just one example. If your product ends up generating obscene AI-generated content, and this is especially true for companies that are in the image generation space, you could be liable under Section 67. If your product or service allows third-party users or end users to generate deep fakes of other customer data or other client data, you could be pulled up under 66D. So these are things that are not common knowledge, but I just want you to be aware that every violation, so to speak, will have a repercussion in the current set of laws, either under the IPC or under the IT Act. Now, as far as the subject-specific laws are concerned, if you have a product that ends up creating an anti-competitive practice in the market, you all probably understand what competition is in the market. If your product or service ends up creating an anti-competitive practice in the market, you could be pulled up under the Competition Act of 2002. So that's one thing you need to be aware of. As far as the Consumer Protection Act is concerned, we just started seeing a number of cases being filed against AI companies in India, especially in Bangalore and Hyderabad. And this generally falls in one of two buckets. One is if you have a defective AI product. So if your AI product is advertising X, but it's actually generating Y, then it's a defective AI product, and you could be pulled up under the Consumer Protection Act. The second is if you have misleading claims. So if your AI product is supposed to generate X, but it's only generating X minus Y or X minus Z, then you could be misleading the consumers onto subscribing to your product. And we've actually fought a case for an OTT platform very recently where the actual claim amount was only 365 rupees. The claim amount that the consumer sued the company for was only 365 rupees. But I think the OTT platform ended up spending more than 50 lakhs defending that particular claim because it was more a matter of principle. So this is something that I would like all of you guys to be aware of. And the most important set of laws that I think most of the AI companies will come under are what are known as the intellectual property laws. And those are broadly the Copyright Act, the Trademark Act, and the Patent Act. Now, the Patent Act may not necessarily be as applicable unless your AI product fits itself into a patentable invention, which in India is a little difficult to do, contrary to patenting in the US. But most of the AI companies will fall under the Copyright Act and the Trademarks Act, because if you're generating data based on training somebody else's data, then your operations, so to speak, will come under the ambit of the Copyright Act, and you need to be compliant with the Copyright Act. If you're in a space where you're generating images from other images or brand new images being generated by your product, you will most likely come under the Trademarks Act. One of the issues we faced recently is one of the user-generated engines had generated a check mark very similar to Nike, and they were sued for that, even though it was a user-generated image. Okay, so this is something, if you're into the image generation space, you have to be very careful that you're not running afoul the Trademark Act. So we've talked about the generic legislations, which is the IT Act, the DPDP, and the IPC, the subject-specific laws like the Competition Act, the Consumer Protection Act, Trademark Act, Patent Act, and the Copyright Act. Now there are also sector-specific regulations. So if you're in the banking space, in the fintech space, you need to be aware that there are a number of RBI regulations that are put out almost on a monthly basis that do govern the AI operations. If you are in the securities trading space, you have to be aware of all of the regulations that SEBI puts out that are directly impacting your AI operations. If you're in the insurance space, you have IRDAI guidelines that you need to be aware of. And if you have an AI system that qualifies as a software as a medical device, and one of the examples is maybe a patch that you have on your arm, and if your entire system primarily focuses on the software analysis of the data that's coming from the patch, and the way you're presenting that data to the end user, then even though you are a hardware device company, the crux of the operations is actually on the software side, and you could qualify under the medical device rules, and you need to be compliant with it. So, in terms of the key concepts of the DPDP Act, this is probably the act that most of you will fall under. I'll only touch on a couple of key concepts. One is this idea of personal data. So, anytime you have information that can specifically identify a person, this is the simplest way I can explain this. If you have data that can specifically identify a person, be it image, be it names, be it photos, behavioral data, any of that stuff, all of that qualifies as personal data. And the moment it is personal data, you are regulated by the DPDP Act. Now, the couple of important concepts in the DPDP Act is, number one, you need to have consent. You're going to hear about this in your ethics committees, in your companies. You're going to hear about them in your compliance committees. The consent and informed consent are going to be pillars, cornerstones of all of your operations. If you are unable to get informed consent from users to be able to use their data to train your models, or to be able to display the data after your models generate outputs, then you will run afoul the DPDP Act, and the consequences are going to be pretty heavy. The regulations are not out yet, but it is expected that the consequences could be fines up to 7 to 10% of your company's net revenues, also including some jail time. So you need to be extremely careful about this. Now, the two important concepts under the DPDP Act are what we call purpose limitation and data minimization. And I'll explain to you using a small example. If you're a restaurant and somebody calls in and says, I want to make a reservation, what is the piece of information that you need to make that reservation? Can somebody just answer that real quick? A phone number and a name. That's it. But how many restaurants stop at that, right? There's so much additional information that is collected. So just remember that example, data minimization and purpose limitation. What data minimization means is that whatever is the basic required data, the most minimum, the lowest common denominator, so to speak, data that you require to achieve the objective or the purpose, that is data minimization. Only such data has to be collected. Now, purpose limitation has a larger import. What that means is, whatever purpose you have identified to the user as the purpose for which you are collecting the information, the DPDP Act requires that you limit your usage only for that purpose. So if the restaurant is collecting the name and phone number information for making a reservation, they have to stop there. They can't call you back the next week and say, we have a special, do you want to come back for a special dinner? The same thing applies to banks. If they're collecting, or financial apps, for example, if you're collecting information to open the account, the information can only be used to open the account. You can't cross-sell. You can't call them back 2 weeks later and say, you've qualified for a loan, do you want to apply for a loan? These things are possible today, but once the DPDP regulations come out, you will not be able to cross-sell anymore. Every new cross-selling will require an informed consent by the user. The other thing that you have to be aware of, if for those companies that are collecting children's data, there's going to be very strict regulations coming out. It's not under 14 or under 16 like you see in other countries. It is under 18 in India. So anytime you have an under 18 person and you're collecting data on them, you need to comply with a lot higher, stricter regulations in terms of parental consent. Now, how this applies to the AI companies. If you're scraping data sets, or if you're buying data sets that contain personal data, you need to have a lawful basis under DPDP. Now, there are exceptions. It's called legitimate use exceptions. But I can tell you most certainly that none of those will apply to private companies. Okay? Those are for governments. For example, if there is an Aadhaar card information, the government can access your Aadhaar card information to provide you a service, to give some money under a SOP or a scheme. But you as a private entity cannot do that. Medical emergencies can also become another exception. But like I said, by and large, any private company conducting private business will most certainly not qualify under the legitimate use exception. If you're deploying AI products, so if you have a chatbot that processes user questions containing personal information, that company will now be known as a data fiduciary. Some of you probably heard of the intermediaries under the IT Act, the large intermediaries like Facebook, Twitter's, smaller intermediaries, which is pretty much everybody else. There were strict guidelines on intermediaries. Similarly, we have something called data fiduciaries. So anytime you process personal information, you will be confirmed as a data fiduciary under the DPDP Act. And once you are identified as a data fiduciary under the DPDP Act, you have certain obligations that come with it. For example, you have to give notice of the data flow, of the data usage. How are you going to collect the data? How are you going to store the data? How are you going to process the data? How are you going to delete the data? All of that information needs to be made available to the users. For those companies that are doing AI-driven profiling, this becomes very important. The regulations are not out yet. Now, what I mean by data profiling or AI-driven profiling is, for example, in China, there is this concept. Everybody has a unified, universal number. Now, anytime you commit a quote-unquote wrong in the system, there are points that are deducted from your number. And the lesser points you get, the harder it is for you to get government services, the harder it is for you to get private services. The loan rate, interest rates go up, for example, if you have a lower score versus somebody with a higher score. So if you're into building apps, products, or services that do social scoring, allowing people to apply for jobs, and the system that you develop automatically detects people who may leave the job early and therefore not being recruitable. If you're into those kinds of services, you will be designated as an AI profiling app. And when the regulations come out, you're going to have a higher standard to meet if you're profiling people for giving them certain benefits. Now, one good news is cross-border transfers are not regulated heavily under the DPDP Act. So moving of data in and out of India is actually not as heavily regulated. And the reason why it's not as heavily regulated is because the government still holds the key to which countries they can blacklist in the future. So my advice to you is be careful which countries you're going to share data with, because if it's a country that's traditionally or historically not been on good economic terms with India, that may have an impact in the future if it gets on the blacklist. Now, as far as considerations for AI companies, we've already talked about training data, consent, and children's data, which is anything under 18. If you are able to anonymize your data, if you're able to achieve the 100% anonymization scale, then you will have no problems with DPDP. DPDP will not apply to you. I'm not sure how many of you are able to do that, but that's one tip out there. Another thing is dark patterns. This is something that is very widely done here now, but it will not be allowed anymore in the future. And that is, if you're suggesting user consent, if you're coercing user consent, if you're allowing the user to have no choice except to give you consent, that's going to be disallowed in the future. So as far as consent is concerned, there's really only two ways to do it. Either you have a consent at the beginning of the user interaction, where you give them a 20-page terms of service and privacy policy and ask them to accept it. Or you could also take the approach of what's known as the streetlight approach, which is you give them a very short as required policy at the beginning, and as and when you have streetlights, as and when additional services are being provided, you take additional consents at that time. How you decide to implement it, it's on you. But the one thing you have to remember is you can't suggest or coerce users into consent. I'm going to move through a couple of these examples. As far as the global regulations are concerned, the good news is there are no federal regulations in the US yet. There has only been one executive order by President Biden, which was effectively replaced by another executive order by President Trump, effectively prioritizing innovation over regulation. As far as the states in the US are concerned, because most of you will have a lot of customers and clients from the US, as far as the states in the US are concerned, about 40 states are at advanced stages of putting out AI-based regulations, so that's something that you have to watch out for. But as of today, there is no AI-specific regulation in the US. But EU on the other side is completely different. We'll just get to that in a minute. They've passed the EU AI Act, and they've been doing it, implementing it in a phased manner, And all of the EU AI Act will complete its implementation by August of next year. And we'll just talk about that in just a second. Now, in terms of how the courts have dealt with this, I just want to give you 3 examples. These are the 3 main examples that are happening currently. Indian courts have not yet come to play with AI-based issues yet. There are 3 main cases that have come out of the US. One is Thomson Reuters versus Ross. Thomson Reuters is a company that collects judgments and orders from courts, summarizes them, and puts them out for lawyers. Ross is a company that took all of these summaries, the so-called head notes, scraped through all of the data, and created a competitive product. Now, what the court has said here, the takeaway, is that if you use a competitor's copyrighted data for the same purpose, selling the same service or product, then it will not be allowed. So that is something that you'll have to remember. So there is no explicit bar per se on taking competitor data, but if you're taking competitor data and selling a competitive product, then the courts are beginning to disallow that practice. The second case is Bart's versus Anthropic. This case and the next case that I talk about, which is against Meta. Both of these cases are on copyright violations, where a number of authors had filed a class action lawsuit against Anthropic, saying that you haven't paid us any money before you started scraping our books and training your LLMs. In this particular case, the takeaway was, as long as you have obtained the copies lawfully, you've paid for a book, and then you scanned it and trained your model, you're fine. But if you take a pirated copy of the book and you train your models, then the court's going to come after you. Now, what happened in Meta is they didn't really go after the lawful purchase versus the unlawful purchase. They went on the economic effect. They said simply alleging that somebody infringed your product is not enough. You also have to then show, as a sufferer, you also have to show but that by Meta or Anthropic or any other LLM taking your information, you suffered an economic loss. If you're unable to show economic loss, I'm sorry, the courts can't help you. So these are the 3 different cases that have come about in the US. Now, the EU AI Act, like I said, I'll make it extremely simple. There are only 2 ways to regulate AI, in my view. One is you regulate all the use cases. The second is you risk categorize the use cases. To regulate every single use case is almost impossible, because just in this setup alone, we've probably seen 100 different use cases of AI. So what the EU has done is it has basically come up with 4 risk categories: minimal, low, high, and unacceptable. The minimal risk categories are companies that do AI chatbots, for example. The unacceptable risk category, which we don't have in India, but you have in the EU, are companies that do social profiling, like I said before. So if your company does social profiling or social risk scores, if you're a matrimonial app that gives a score to a person based on certain factors like age and income, etc., you might be qualified as an unacceptable risk social profiling website, and you are banned from providing any services in the EU. So the unacceptable risk companies are banned, and the high-risk companies are allowed under very strict regulations in the EU. I think my time is mostly up, but I basically want to talk about what you can do to prepare yourself. There is an immediate assessment phase where I would like all of you guys to conduct an AI inventory, assess the current compliance gaps, and evaluate the data practices, because the most important thing currently, in the absence of any regulations with respect to AI, is to understand what your current data practices are. Once you have established that, then you can establish internal governance mechanisms. Number 1, I would advise that you set up.
They have, for example, a headquarter in Australia, an office in EU, and working in India. So we are using EU data in India. So how will the policy impact? Like, are we going to follow Indian policy or EU policy or Australian policy?
Yeah, so basically the question is, when you're running across multiple jurisdictions, how do you apply yourselves? So the idea here is, if you have users in any of these jurisdictions, the law of that particular jurisdiction applies. So it is not about where your programmers reside or where you're actually creating the programs.
Okay.
Most of the regulations don't worry about the creation and execution of the programs. They worry about the impact on the users in that particular country. So if you have users in EU, for example, and you're selling a software or a product there, if you have users in India, then you have to worry about the state-specific legislations, industries.
Cloud data processing, but still they face bottlenecks and rising costs. Data Pelago's universal data processing engine offers up to 10 times faster performance and 80% lower spend. With real-world case studies, this session shows how it works across any engine, any data, and any hardware. Can we please have the speaker's profile on the stage? We have him here with us. Please welcome Giridhar Yasa, Consulting Head of India at Data Pelago Inc. He brings deep expertise in accelerating enterprise data and AI workloads. Today, he will share how organizations can achieve breakthrough, efficiency, and cost savings. Over to you, Giridhar.
Thank you very much.
Have a good session.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll talk about how we can accelerate data processing. I'll probably introduce who we are, who Data Pelago is, and why we exist in the first place. Nucleus is our universal data processing engine. I'll tell you a little bit about how we got about implementing this. Then I'll talk about the first product that we are going to market with, which is the Data Pelago Accelerator for Spark. There are a few benchmarks that we'll go through, a few customer case studies. Finally, our proof of value and how quickly we can go to production if you have certain use cases on this. So data processing ecosystems are evolving really, really quickly. From a requirement perspective, there's a lot of investment out there in applications. People have SQL queries that they've written. There is a lot of software out there that's been written in Python, Scala. And at the bottom of the stack, you have a lot of hardware innovation happening. Traditionally, there have been CPUs, but a lot of infrastructure is being built around GPUs. And then there's a lot of heterogeneous hardware, including FPGAs, edge AI, and what have you. The challenge is really in terms of being able to use this heterogeneous hardware and letting the applications run at a much more efficient pace. And that's where the data processing stack sort of comes in. And in order to aid this, there's a lot of open source software out there. There's a lot of commercial solutions out there. Apache Spark, Flink, Dask, Ray, Trino are some of these. And Data Pelago fits right here in the data processing stack part. Now, one of the pivotal changes in the data center computing is that there's a lot of GPUs out there. Huge cloud investments in GPUs, close to $100 billion in 2024. And by 2028, more than half of server compute would be centered around GPU infrastructure. Now, this consumes a vast majority of cloud spend today, and all of this needs to be accelerated. But simply accelerating workloads, simply accelerating data processing is non-trivial. The scaling bottlenecks, managing the compute in a distributed environment, and ensuring that enterprises do not have to change a lot of their software is really where the crux of the matter is. And this is a very hard, insanely hard computer science problem. We as a company recognized this early, and we assembled a team to sort of accelerate the data processing infrastructure. Now, our heritage, our founders are from hardware, software, co-design. We've built security infrastructure at scale. We've built hardware that accelerates data processing in the data centers. And at around 2021 was really the inflection point where we realized that there's a lot of heterogeneous hardware coming in, and this growth in structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data as well. And the cost of processing itself has become untenable. So we are here with a production-ready platform, an engine that sort of sits in the middle of generative AI, open source frameworks, and accelerated computing, and we can potentially speed up and reduce costs on customer enterprise workloads. So how do we go about doing this, right? I mean, think of us as an engine in a car, right? I mean, we could potentially build a new car, go to market with a new car, but then what if I could change the crux of your car, maybe have an engine that can be used in multiple cars? That's essentially what we've built. So net-net, we've taken the approach where when we accelerate any framework, be that your regular SQL queries, maybe that's a Spark workload written using PySpark or Scala, and what we try and do is estimate the gains that a potential customer might get, and most importantly, very low friction. Now, this is important, right? It's important for adoption. What we want to change is probably the guts of what is happening in your enterprise, in your software, but not really the user experience, not really the existing infrastructure investments that you've made in terms of the hardware or the application levels, application infrastructure itself. And absolutely no vendor lock-in. We operate with a multi-vendor ecosystem, we operate in an open source environment, and hence existing investments are preserved, and so is the flexibility. With this, I'd like to introduce our accelerator for Spark. This is built on our Nucleus engine. It runs on any Spark workloads, whether it's data engineering workloads, ELT workloads, business intelligence workloads, AI training pipelines, on Google Cloud, on AWS, or on-prem. It's very, very simple to deploy, just about a few minutes of deployment. No vendor lock-in, like I said. The upside is that potential execution speeds of up to 10x and consequent reduction in infrastructure that is required for compute, and hence cost reduction, overall managing your economics. So this is what the entire software ecosystem from a layer perspective looks like. On the left, you have what is traditionally open source Spark. You potentially have Spark SQL or a Python query written down. It goes through multiple layers. There's logical planning, how do operations work, and then there's physical planning of how these operations are eventually going to run on the hardware. Then there's a bit of intermediate code representation, finally that executes on your hardware. This all happens on CPU infrastructure. We could do the same thing on CPU infrastructure, but we also have capabilities for running this on FPGAs and GPU infrastructure if you so choose to. The way we do this is we provide a sidecar, which is our plugin into Spark using the same old Spark APIs, where we optimize on the plan, we optimize in terms of the intermediate representation, and eventually we also optimize how this runs on actual hardware from the perspective of optimizing for caches, instruction sets, vectorized instructions, and the eventual execution, reducing the time. So how do we go about doing this? On one end you have cost, and on the other end you have performance. With an open source framework, probably like Spark, you're somewhere at the low end in terms of the performance itself. The cost is reasonably moderate. It's open source. Potentially, you are employing a managed service, either in terms of Cloud Data Proc or EMR in AWS, or running it yourself with a managed service operator in your own data centers. And then you have commercial solutions on one end, which are extremely expensive. They do provide moderate amount of performance. There are industry efforts around gluten, Velox, that sort of bump up the performance a little bit, but not to an extent where it realizes the full potential of the hardware. That's where we operate in. We make the open source tools outperform proprietary solutions. The engines themselves, right, because they are open source, they are extremely low friction in terms of adoption. How do we go about doing this? If you look at a typical query that you've written, maybe a SQL query, you do scans on your data, you do projects, you filter, you aggregate over windows, you do a lot of JSON parsing. These are some of the operators that typically are involved in your data processing. Then in terms of GenAI workloads, you have extraction in images in various forms of documents. There's tokenization, embeddings into vector databases, and also there's a lot of I/O processing happening along the way. So these are some sample operators where we've chosen to pick up these operators, look at the hardware, and go deep down into how the hardware operates, and then optimize for all these operators. And this is the plugin that sort of is involved in accelerating the workloads. We have some benchmarks here in terms of comparing our Nucleus engine to NVIDIA's UDF. A score of more than 1 means that there's acceleration, less than 1 means that we don't do as well. And typically, in hash joins, hash aggregates, top k, order with k, this is the typical acceleration that we get. This is a micro benchmark, of course. And similarly, there are certain other micro benchmarks that we have in terms of hash aggregates, hash joins, projects, filters, and aggregates. Of course, one would argue that micro benchmarks are micro benchmarks. What happens in the real world? How are you able to sort of show value? So we don't go to our customers with micro benchmarks. We actually run on their real workloads. So there's a few results that I will demonstrate from some of our customers. This is a Fortune 100 retailer. What you have in terms of latencies on the baseline versus data Pelago, various jobs running here. These jobs typically are multi-stage jobs. They probably look at some data, extract them, make transformations, push that data into an intermediate format, store them in certain tables, and then from another business line, a similar process happens. Eventually, all of this modified data sort of is aggregated together, windowed computations happen on them. This entire process takes a few hours to minutes across multiple jobs. Net, we are able to accelerate this at that retailer at a significant rate. There's a Fortune 500 e-commerce company where we've demonstrated across 17 of their key workloads that they run on a daily basis. What you have here is the query cost. On brown, you have the baseline cost. Blue is with our Data Parallel Spark accelerator, and the cost savings are plotted on the green. This is a Fortune 500 financial services company that we've worked with. Here we've measured, because this is in a cloud environment, we've measured in terms of vCore seconds, which is what actual billing happens on. With our accelerator, we are able to save up to 2x of their cloud costs in the data processing environment. Now, one interesting thing that I'd like to bring up here is that since these jobs run as batch jobs, over time some of them want these to be run as maybe real-time jobs. And that is a non-trivial exercise. There's a lot of engineering effort involved in that. When customers go about doing that, the entire application infrastructure changes. There's a lot of engineering that happens. Programmers get at it, understand what the workload is, and probably convert those into near real-time jobs. But with an acceleration engine like ours, what tends to happen is that the jobs tend to complete much faster, up to 8 times faster, and hence the need for converting a batch job into a near real-time job goes away. And that's one advantage that a lot of customers have as well. There's a Fortune 500 technology company, significant changes here in terms of vCore seconds that we are able to save for them. In certain cases, we are almost able to reduce the cost by 8 times. So what is our value proposition? Our value proposition is really about reducing Spark cloud spend by up to 80% and running workloads up to 10 times faster. You could throw any workload at this. It could be a data engineering workload, ETL workload, a business intelligence workload, or it might be AI data pipelines, both inferencing and training. There's no migration disruption. Your applications remain as is. You don't have to change the format of your data or where the data comes from. This data could be on-prem, it could be in your ERP systems, it could be a cloud storage where you've stored this data. Your security policies remain the same. We don't pull the data into our environments and then run. Right? It's plug and play. It's just about giving you this plugin which sort of goes into your Spark cluster at runtime, and on a job basis you sort of invoke it and then you can deploy this. So any hardware, if you have CPUs, if you have GPUs, if you have FPGAs, we could leverage all of that and accelerate the workload. We have a free trial to production. We promised that we could get into production within 2 weeks. We'd invite you to run your applications on your data with your secure policies, and you can calculate your actual cost saving. The actual production workload might take a couple of weeks, but then the POC itself can be run really quickly. You could take, you could go into a POC or a proof of value for that matter within a few minutes. We have a booth here. I'm happy to share a few case studies. We have a few published case studies. We can do a demo on Google Cloud for you. We can schedule a POC and also do technical deep dives with our engineers who are here at the booth. Happy to take questions.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions in the audience? Wow, looks like everyone did pay a lot of attention and they just got everything. But you know what, our speaker will be here after his session as well. He'll be at the venue, so you can approach him. Just a last call, any questions? Do we have any questions from the audience? All right, there's one gentleman over here. Can we please bring him the mic?
Hello. Yeah, thank you for the session. You spoke about using CPUs, GPUs, and FGPAs. Is there a mechanism in your application, in your platform, where it decides based on the workloads and how it decides?
Good question. So the fundamental to this is that we do not want to affect any of your existing investments. So if you have an infrastructure that is purely CPU based, then what our engine does is it uses the vectorized instruction sets in those CPUs rather than using only the scalar instruction set and accelerates the workloads. However, if you have GPUs, right, like for example, if you have NVIDIA GPUs, then traditionally you would have probably wanted to run it using maybe CUDF, but our engine actually is much more powerful. It enables lower latency, and the way we do it is really hardware software co-design. We understand what each instruction set does in the GPU or in the CPU. How can it be best optimized for each of the operations that are involved in data processing, and hence run it much faster. So we don't impose a restriction, right? We don't say that, look, in order to make this faster, run it on a GPU, or we don't say that in order for you to make advantage of our of our engine, you cannot use GPUs. We don't impose any restriction like that. It's simply in place, whatever infrastructure you have, whatever you have been running in the past with, you can continue to run with the same infrastructure, hardware infrastructure. But here's the kicker, right? I mean, if you are on a plan in a cloud provider saying that, I'll pay you per compute unit, because of this, you'd be able to use lesser compute units and consequently incur lesser operational expenditure. And of course, the jobs run really fast as well.
Thank you, Giridhar. Audience, can we please give him a huge round of applause for that engaging session? Giridhar, thank you so much. Also, just a quick announcement, Giridhar will be on location here, so if you have any questions or you want to get a quick conversation with him, this is your opportunity to have a quick one-on-one with Giridhar. That said, we have a few announcements, right? A few quick announcements to make. If you are into GenAI, AI, or data science, and I'm guessing there's no one here who can say no to that question, because this is Cypher 2025, India's biggest AI summit and expo. We have something really exciting happening at stall 11, which is the EXL stall where everything about the future and AI is being discussed. So you should definitely check out the EXL booth. That said, we also have a treasure hunt, that is happening at the AIM Media booth. There's also a Cypher wall in the expo area, so be sure to add your sticky note and share some love with everyone that's attended the event. Now, before we start off with the next segment, we actually have some time on our hands. And I want to come across and, just have a little bit of an interaction with the audience. Are we okay to interact? Yes, give me a yes. Yes, okay, there's one man there. He says yes. Everyone else, yes. All right. Really quickly, ma'am, I've seen you. This is probably your second day. A little bit about yourself and maybe why this conference is relevant to what you do and who should speak with you. And if people can approach you and speak with you about something, what would it be about?
Are you paying me for that? It's my first question back.
My answer would be, we can pay you back in coffee and kind, yes.
Kindness not allowed. Okay, my name is Gayatri. I am at Altudo. I'm into marketing analytics. I have been to the first Cypher event that was there in 2015 also. I've just come here to learn, just to sit here and listen to what everybody is saying. And I went back home and caught up on some of the YouTube videos also that were there from the sessions that I missed. So this one was very technical, but when it comes to business and all, I could make sense. And nice to see so many lectures on what is the total addressable market, the new things that are being done, all the GPTs that are open and everything. So the non-tech part I know, but the tech part is something I've come to learn here. You can search Gayatri Altodo, you'll find me there. You can come up to me and ask anything you need. Yeah, marketing analytics, any questions you have, I can answer them right away. You don't need to find me on LinkedIn for that. Any queries about SEO, optimization, digital marketing, Google optimization, I can give you an answer right away. But if it's a bigger one, you have to pay me. Huh?
Super, Gayatri. Thank you so much. Also, if I'm right, you asked a question to Anand yesterday during his session. I remember you from there, and thank you so much for your participation and for your enthusiastic questions. Can we please give Gayatri a round of applause? She's the first person that's done a quick GTKY with us, which is a get to know you. So everyone in the room got to know you, Gayatri, and we will get to you if there's any questions about marketing analytics and anything deeper, we'll have to pay Gayatri. So yes, cool. Anyone else here who wants to give us a quick intro about what you do and why we should approach you? And why should anyone strike up a conversation with you? Sir, I see you. Could we have a quick introduction about what you do and how AI is relevant to what you do?
Hi, my name is Kanwar Nihal Singh Gill. I'm visiting from Waterloo, Canada, and we're building the real estate AI search platform in which we are taking off the MLS out of the play, and you can just search using your query for your next home. Right now, we do marketing for a lot of real estate firms, and we're hoping to, just put up a real estate firm totally powered by AI.
Wonderful, Kanwar. Thank you so much. And this company is going to be based in India or in Waterloo? Okay. So that was Kanwar. Can we please give him a round of applause? And all the best for what you're doing, Kanwar. We have a lady here who raised her hand. Yes. Here you go.
Hi everyone, this is Saumashri Bharadwaj from Goavega. We provide AI and data service offerings for people who is looking for. So please contact us. We are right in Rajrajeshwari Nagar, Goavega Software Private Limited. So you have anything, we can be your contact point. Yeah, thank you.
Super, thank you for that. So we've covered this aspect of the room. We've covered some area here. Anyone over here who wants to have a quick yes? Coming over to you. Go for it.
Hello, my name is Venkatesh, and I'm a financial accountant and pursued a data science recently. I'm just trying to explore these 3 days to how my financial accounting services financial services I can emerge with AI solutions, which so far I have not got. Next Gen is the only one which I have got financial services which they are providing, but as accounting solutions, I don't find any as so far. So I'm looking forward for that.
Got it, Venkatesh. I think what you can also do is, reach out to the organizers. We have volunteers here, and they should also help you shortlist relevant speakers that you can have a one-on-one connect with. So even if there's not a direct, correlation with what you do, they should help you give you leads, right? And yeah, I hope you find what you're looking for. Because if it's not here, then I don't know where you will find it, right? This is India's biggest AI Expo. Anyone else over here, wants to give us a... Yes, absolutely. We have a gentleman over there. All right, walking over to you. Go for it. So, very nice suit.
Thank you so much. Hi, Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jibin here. I represent AstraZeneca. By the name, you would understand that we are a pharma organization. What we do is we use AI in drug development. But what I see is my team and my colleagues, we don't just use AI or in data science in drug development, but also in manufacturing, digital factories, finance, HR. And I'm here to meet folks like you to understand what others are doing and looking forward to connect with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Jibin. Anyone wants to have a conversation with Jibin from AstraZeneca, please feel free to approach him. Yes.
Yeah, my name is Sumana. I am the CEO and co-founder of Goavega, my colleagues. So I have attended many conferences and some of the largest one in the Vegas, and I'm just trying to I won't do a proper comparison here, but one of the things that Cypher can provide to all of us is networking tables. So if you can see Shop Talk, so they provide you these networking tables, and they put the table number with the app. You can pre-book the meetings, and there will be a section just for networking table, and you can move from one table to another table. It's a fantastic opportunity for everyone who come. They can pre-book the meeting. They can meet the right person they want, and the AI within the app even suggests who are the right people for you to meet. And it will be a real value add for Cypher. So that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Real co-founder's idea. Just hit us. I'm sure the volunteers here have taken note. However, we do have a networking session happening at 3:45 in the Expo area. Maybe the features that you've just given us would come around in the next time we do the event. But for today's event, I want you to be able to make the most of it. So please do register. I hope you've registered for the networking session that we have at 3:45. Yes? All right. Yes, a young gentleman here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rishabh, and I'm from the Delhi School of Economics. So I represent the corporate relations team. So all of us are here right now, and I know for a fact that some of the best minds of analytics are sitting and listening to me right now. So if you guys want to do some guest lectures, some live projects, internships, or placement opportunities, please reach out to any one of us. It will be a great pleasure to host you guys. Thank you very much.
That was a really nice, plug-in for Delhi School of Economics. Wonderfully done. Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laukus Tamkar. I'm coming from the Lauren Information Technologies, as we call the Lauren Group. So we are the providing AI services, agentic AI services, automation. And we also have the cloud cost comparison platforms, like we are called finelize.ai. Here we can compare the different clouds like AWS, Azure, GCP, all prices we can compare it, and what are the best for you. We are the recommended, and according to your budget and your services, you can go under. You are the manage the all cloud services in our platforms. Thank you.
What's your name again? Balachandra, is it? Nice to meet you, Balachandra. And guys, if you relate to what Balachandra had to say, please do reach out to him. He's seated right here. With our time having moved on, and we're now in time for our next session, so I'll quickly bring us there. Right. So the travel landscape in India is evolving rapidly with AI-driven personalization, voice-based bookings, and intelligent itineraries. This session explores how technology is reshaping travel experiences for consumers and businesses alike. Can we please have the speaker profile on the screen? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Prashant Pitti, co-founder of Ease My Trip and founder of Optimo Capital. Prashant has led transformative innovations in India's travel sector, driving digital adoption and consumer-centric solutions. A warm welcome to Prashant Pitti, please.
Guys,
yes, you are right. You are.
My name is
Please applaud for him.
Speaking at 12:30. My name is Prashant Pitti, and I've left my car behind. I walked for about 4 kilometers. Now I'm hitchhiking on a bike.
Not now.
Thanks to this
I'll tell when.
Can we stop the video, please?
Stop the video.
All right, thank you. Yes, I think the confusion's sorted now. Prashant, over to you.
No problem. I'm used to confusion. Hi guys, I'm Prashant. Nice to meet you all. So we are going to talk about the future of travel. But before that, let me show you the present of travel. That was this video about. I'm going to ask you to play. Just hold on your horses. I live in HSR. I moved to Bangalore about a year ago. Today, Google Map was showing me 1 hour
and 30 minutes to reach from HSR to over here. I left on time, but then my driver and my car got stuck in a jam where it wouldn't move for 15-20 minutes. And I'm quite finically known for never being delayed. So this is what I did. I walked, quasi-ran 4 kilometers. Then I hitchhiked on a bike for another 10 kilometers. And then I ran the last 2 kilometers. Can you please play that video? Guys, I'm speaking at 12:30. My name is Prashant Pitti. And I've left my car behind. I walked for about 4 kilometers. Now I'm hitchhiking on a bike, thanks to this gentleman. And I look forward to see you at 12:30, hopefully. So the people who are coming from outside India, welcome to India. However, I want to show this positively. This is Indian resilience. Where there is a will, there is a way. That is Indian resilience for you. This is why, despite having all odds against us, not only we will survive, we will thrive. And to put a caveat, no AI can do that. It's only humans who will make this happen. Before I start my session, can we make a huge, loud noise so that people outside can know something is happening over here? Are we ready for it? Okay, on a count of 3, 2, 1, we'll do a woohoo. 3, 2, 1, woohoo! Alright guys, a quick background about myself. Graduated from IIT Madras, worked in US for about 4 years, quit my job, moved back to India. And me and my brothers, we started easemytrip.com about 18 years ago. Somehow people assume it's an overnight success, but it took us 18 years to reach where we are. We are a listed company. And the reason why it took us really long is because EaseMyTrip is a bootstrap company. We never raised any capital. We were competing against all big giants who all had raised minimum $100 million each. We took our sweet time, we grew profitably, and now we are one of the leading travel companies in India. That is the past. But what is it in the future? Over here, I'm going to share some glimpse of work which are happening within our organization and some glimpse of work which I hope are happening outside our organization to make travel better than what it is today, not by 10%, not by 15%, but make it exponentially better. Who all love to travel over here? That's about it. Wow. My both hands are up. Now, I love travel planning, partly because it's my job. I do it for all of you, right? But I know many people who hate to plan for travels, who dread doing research, understanding where to stay, how to go, where to go, what all to see. And that is partly our job at EaseMyTrip. We have people who are experts for each particular country and their team, and they help you find where to go next and how to go about it. But that's not what the future is going to be. That is surely not what the future is going to be. No matter how good of a person I put on my call center, they would not know you. They would not know you. What are your dietary preferences? Are you adventurous? Are you planning this trip for yourself or for your kids or for your better half or for your girlfriend or for your boyfriend? They would not know which countries have you been in the past, what were your likings and dislikings. But guess what? An agent can do that in much, much better way. At EaseMyTrip, we are building it. Hopefully, we will launch something like this in a matter of few months. But imagine that you just give an AI agent a time slot that, bro, I want to go from this day to this day. And approximately my bank can allow me to spend about ₹1 lakh. Take me somewhere. And imagine all the itineraries are getting booked, not suggestions, but getting booked. Where your hotel, your flight, your transportation, your dinner reservations, amusement park, sightseeing, all on the basis of what you have feeded in the past, who you are, gets picked up and comes a final button. Do you want to pay this much amount? I'll go ahead and take care of the rest of the things. And that is not the future. That is actually today. That is today. I really believe that at Ease My Trip, we are ready to do this. We have been working on it for the last couple of months, and it should be live in next couple of months. This will take away a lot of anxiety which people have. Personally, my wife hates to travel just because she does not like the anxiety of knowing unknowns. But unknowns need not be unknowns. I'll come to that part later. The next part, even more dreaded part of travel, which is change of plans. See, the reason why you guys need travel agents or OTAs like us is because there are 100 touch points in that 10 days of travel. And just like life, one of those touch points are meant to not to go the way they were supposed to go. Your flights will get delayed, your chauffeur will not come on time, your hotel will not give you early check-in, there might be a rain, your outdoor activities are going to go kaput. All that happens and is bound to happen and will continue to happen. But knowing the real-time situation, that agent can take a call, can suggest you, hey, you might want to skip, given the weather conditions, you might want to skip the ski plans you had. I would rather book you a nice museum tour instead. Let me do that job for you. The AI agent, knowing that you're going to miss your flight, can see where you are, it's in your phone, can understand how far away are you from the airport, can call the hotel and say, hey, there's an emergency, we're going to miss the flight, can you please give us at least half the amount of refund? We probably are going to come tomorrow. These are real-time changes which you, while going through the stressful period, might not be able to do it on your own, but your companion can do it for you. Your agent companion can do it for you. I'll tell you the reason why I know that these parts are extremely stressful is because at Ease My Trip, we are the only ones who have run our call centers. Unlike all our competitors, we have never outsourced our call center, our chat support, and our email support. And the reason is, people only message us, call us during distressful times. Now, why would you call a travel agent if you have happily boarded your flight or if you have already gotten your hotel check-in? People only call. 5% people call. 95% people just go about doing what they're doing. But 5% people, when they call, we know it is a problematic time. And imagine all that problematic time can be taken care by your personalized companion. That's the second. This is going to take time. This is not currently I envisage to happen over the period of next 1 year or so. This is highly personalized. This is taking actions on at the time when you are in distressful situations, and hence those actions needs to be very well vetted through. And hence, this is slightly further in the future. This part we are already living. I mean, we, India, is already quasi-living. The world has very little knowledge about this part. the borderless travel, the travels without having your boarding pass in your hand. We have Digi Yatra, right? But that Digi Yatra is going to be extended to not even carrying your passport. That Digi Yatra is going to be extended to not to have any visa processes done. That is the future, which I can clearly see is bound to. It's a lot of bureaucracy. It's actually stuck in bureaucracy. The visas, the passports. However, technology is ready. The tech is ready now. It's just that all 206 countries of the world need to come together and take a stand. Bro, we are doing it. That is where it is stuck. Else, the technology is already there. Don't you guys think that why am I still standing in immigration line? Shouldn't I just pass through and you can see who I am, and if I'm not who I am, you should stop me then. Why should there be so much of frisking? If there is a frequent traveler, you know this guy goes in and out all the time in the flight. The frisking should happen as an anomaly, not as a rule. Don't you guys agree? The frisking which happens at the airport, at the railway stations, at the bus stop, given we are living in 2025, does it even make sense to frisk everybody? To spend so much time and energy, be at the airport 2 hours earlier? Frisking should be anomaly, not the rule. And that's the world we are heading towards. I hope we are heading towards. I'm not speaking everything. I'm sure you guys can read it. I'm actually more interested in Q&A. All right? So I'm over here. Ask me any random question with respect to travel. I'm happy about talking about it. The next part, I'm going to share you a very, very contrarian view on this part. An extremely, extremely contrarian view. How do we travel right now? We cover long distance by flight, right? We go from Delhi to Bangalore over a flight, and then we take a cab, and then we reach our destination. So first part, the air, and then personalize ground travel. I bet 10 years is going to flip completely. 10 years in the future, the long distances are going to be covered by tunnels, hyperloop, bullet trains. The long distance, because it is much more efficient to be on the ground for so many people. Isn't it? Right now, it is on the carbon footprint part, airlines are the worst performing carbon footprint industry. When you are transporting long distance, lakhs of people on daily basis, it should be on the road. It should not be in the sky. And we have all the technologies now. We have levitating trains, we have bullet trains, we have got hyperloop, we have got tunnels. All the technologies exist. And the last mile should be in the air. You get down, you have a pod waiting for you, and the pod is autonomous. See, if I have to take one hot take, if I have to say one hot take over here, India specifically will not have autonomous cars before India will have autonomous flying vehicles. It is so much easier to build a flying car without a pilot than to have an auto driving in Bangalore without the driver. Do you guys get me? Do you guys get me? Because skies, we will create new systems. There exists no systems. Over here, you will have to adapt to already what is existing. So India, if there are multiple flying taxis companies where I'm an investor, because I truly believe, I truly believe that sky is the next frontier for the last mile delivery or last mile travel. Because it is so much more easier to create a system where it is flying autonomously. There is no driver. Cars might happen in the US, probably is already happening in the US. In India, I do not see that happening for the next 10, 15 years. I do not see, because in India, we are not We are not crossing the junction on the basis of green or red light. We are crossing the junction by looking at the other person. Right? We are looking at the other person and we are calculating, is this guy sane enough to let me go first? Isn't it? That is how we are crossing the junctions in India. Which is why I have a big bet against autonomous vehicles in the country. I have a big bet for autonomous taxis in the country. And it seems the most efficient way. Imagine a flying taxi which can land at a terrace. It's a small size, one person, there is no pilot, so hence it's light as well. 200 kg flying taxi with 100 kg person inside, landing on the terrace, wherever you want to go. Imagine an integrated system where Hyperloop drops you to a central point and then they're all across the city, dropping you to where you're supposed to be at the last mile at the terrace. I really believe this is the most optimal future of travel. Again, I wonder why people are not adopting this. You spend lakhs of money in traveling where you want to travel, and half the time you end up only being disappointed. यार इससे अच्छा तो हमारा चांदनी चौक था. You know, I've heard these statements. टर्की चले गए, वहाँ की गलियाँ देखे कह रहे हैं यार इससे अच्छा तो हमारा चांदनी चौक था. Why can't you experience an experience before you buy? Why can't you use an AR, VR tool where before you step into the hotel, you can see what is the view from the balcony. You can experience that view. You can experience how the road feels like when I'm going to travel on that road. And then click buy button. Then click buy button. I will never say that AR, VR will replace travel. We need that feeling. You know, we have 6 senses, including one intuition. AR, VR can only feed you one, which is the view. But that is the biggest senses we have. So why can't we experience or have a glimpse of what we are signing up for? And then click buy button. Again, tech is ready. It's just that companies like us and others have to adopt and have to start. Again, this is something which is very close to India. We keep fighting over language all the time. But tech can easily solve it. You speak to me in Kannada, I hear it in Hindi. I speak in Hindi, you hear it in Kannada. Right? Why should we waste our time and energies in fighting silly battles? These silly battles. I'm going to get into a lot of trouble for all I'm saying, I know. But I really believe these are silly battles. Languages were created just to communicate. Whichever mode you can communicate. Hindi, English, Kannada, Tamil. The current Apple's latest AirPods are kind of giving glimpse towards it. Not there yet. But I really, really believe for a country like India, this technology could be such a boon. Get a chip. We all are going to get connected to the internet. Get a chip. We all are going to get connected to the internet. Imagine with that, it understands your mood. It understands how you feel. Are you jet lagged? Do you need rest? Should I change your plans? Are you hungry? Is there enough glucose spike in your body? And it's going to recommend things while you're walking to whichever direction you're walking. The time's up, it is showing. I believe we have some time for Q&A, if at all, if there is one. Oh, there are few. I think I've done my job if there are 3-4 people willing to ask my question.
Check.
Yes.
Can we please get them the mic? I think first we can go there.
Hey,
and
people
then
can speak out loud. Big deal.
So we request you to please wait a second. We're getting him the mic. He has the mic now, and we'll take turns, yes?
Hello. Hi, amazing presentation. I'm Rishabh from Google. I have a very basic question which comes from my personal experience, using Gemini to rephrase it. The shift towards agentic solution is incredibly promising. However, for users like my mother, who struggles with complex interfaces and is concerned about online scam, ease of use is a major barrier. How will you ensure these powerful new solutions are intuitive and secure enough for everyone and not just tech-savvy folks?
Very valid question. Half of the India is struggling to buy things online, not because of access, but because of the fear of the scam. See, in India, if there is a customer who wants my service, there is a means for them to pay me money using UPI. We are probably the only country where the cash transfer is so seamless that now you have only yourself to blame. You can't say that customer can't give me money. But the reason why many customers fail to give you money or fail to take your services is because of the fear of the scam. A lot of it has to be done at infrastructure level, where governments figure out a way that scammers do not succeed to give comfort. But for elderly people, the best way we can solve for UI UX problem is voice. Rather than showing them clumsy UI UX, the voice is the best frontier to cross that barrier where they're just having a conversation to buy a service, and that conversation is so seamless, so trustworthy, that the elderly person or a person who might not have used technology as extensively feels extremely comfortable to get there. That's my answer.
Hello. Hi. Prashant, first of all, I must tell you got a very engaging voice. You know how to engage people. We talk about a lot of good things, but my question is very basic, and I believe everyone is facing this issue. Are we doing something on the fluctuating price of the airlines? You know, because I face it a lot. I am
glad you asked this question. I'm so glad that you asked this question. How about I burst some myths on that part? How many of you are using incognito? Please don't. Please don't. You're just only wasting your time. And I'll tell you why. We are the interface, right? Companies, OTAs like us, we are the interface. We don't have any say on the price. We have zero say on the price. So on my platform, whatever you look at, it doesn't even matter whether you do incognito or not. We have zero say on the price. The price comes from the principal, which is either the hotel or the airline. None of us have a say. We are contractually liable to show the price which is shown right now. The price fluctuates because many of us use a lot of caching. In the caching, I'm showing you 5,300 price. And on the last page, when you're about to make the payment, it suddenly changes because I was using cached price. How many of you understand caching over here? Okay, very few. How do I explain this in the easiest way? So that I don't have to keep hitting airline's website every time, I store the price they are showing on my website and display that price to you. And when you're about to make the payment, I recheck, is the price still same or not? And at that time, if price changes, unfortunately, there is very little I can do. I have to only show you the price which I'm showing. This is the industry level thing. At EaseMyTrip, we use the least amount of caching. So our server costs are very high. But I do not give you this root surprise as often as others. And this we learned at call center. While sitting at call center in year 2013, I learned this, that hey, it's better to spend some money on non-caching rather than give this root surprise to passenger, because eventually we will get blamed for it. It is not our problem. It comes from the airline side. It comes from the hotel side. They are the better person to answer why they fluctuate price so much. They have their algorithms. They have their business to run. And thankfully, some of them are running it profitably. Imagine for so many years, they were running in losses. So they were kind of doing us a favor to allow us to fly while doing it in losses. So that's my answer for that. But yes, Incognito does not matter, period.
Hello, sir. Very insightful session. I just wanted to ask.
I can't see where you are.
He's
Oh,
right
here.
there.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like you said about that down the line 10 years, we are going to see hyperloops and tunnel travels. So what is your opinion from the governance perspective, whether it is feasible option for India or how challenging it will be?
So I heard your question and I'll interpret it differently. That is India ready to have all those things?
Yeah, yeah.
That is what I heard,
Yeah.
what you said. I believe that India is ready. And I know that some parts of Bangalore might not be, but most of the India is ready. A lot of these things can be built, you know, sorry. A lot of these things can be built over flyovers, and I surely believe that India should actually be leading the world to do this, especially because we have one thing which nobody else. We have population, but we have population density. You understand population density? Like in such a small area, China is 3-4 times bigger than us with the same population. US is 3 times bigger with 1/3 the population. None of the countries, not even China, has the density as we have. And with densities, you can build these systems because they will be viable. You will be moving people from point A to point B in cost economic way because we have so many people in so little area, which is why the densities of our country, the densities of our city support us to build infrastructural projects compared to any other parts of the world. And I think I hope that the government is lining up towards completing that vision.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Prashant. I think we have 2 more questions. Can we get the mic to that person? And then we'll come to you right after.
Hello. Yeah, here. Yeah, initially you showed the concierge as a product. It is about to come with Ease My Trip. My query is, like, if something like that concierge will come in future, do you think about PII data? Because if I'm having my concierge and I'm traveling somewhere, so everything that concierge will consume. So what about that PII data?
Are you talking about privacy?
Yeah.
Okay. So, of course, are you using ChatGPT? There's the answer, right? You're using ChatGPT. You're using Gemini. There's nothing much different about both of these things. There is always going to be a thin line between the usability and privacy, between the product and the privacy. And how much are you ready to let go to gain is always going to be the question. If the value is only incremental, while you lose your privacy, you may not adopt that technology, but if the value is so much, you will let go of the privacy concern. And of course, companies like us will do our level best to model on your data only for you, not for the others. ChatGPT also does the same, by the way. So companies like us will do whatever best we can do to limit your data only for you. I'm not saying that that will always be 100%, because model gets better as the more and more data gets accumulated. So, but yes, it will be anonymized, it will be randomized, and the best you can hope for is that people are not using it for illicit purposes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Can we please bring the mic forward here to this gentleman here? Yes.
Hello, sir. First of all, thank you. It's great listening to you, and then you're a great visionary. So my question is more about, I understand your vision that how do you think users are going to use AI at Ease My Trip, but my question is more about how do you use AI within the company itself. For example, most people get stuck at thinking of AI just as an engineering problem. For example, it does improve the developer productivity, but at the end of day, user only gets the value when it comes to product. For example, text to WhatsApp, and then from WhatsApp to voice, and then from voice to maybe video call, right? So how do you make sure that the AI gets adopted within the product as well? And how do you make sure that it doesn't just become the engineering solution, but also the product engineering solution?
No, very, very valid question. The question, if I should rephrase, because it was very product-related question, is that B2C, fine. You have told us the ways by which B2C consumers will use AI on your platform. How are you using it internally? How is it getting more propagated between the teams to use it? I'll tell you the easiest thing which he's already said is in the engineering part. That's the easiest solution. Your tech talent suddenly has 5x more muscles than before. You know, at the cost of saying something again very, very controversial, I would say that most of the companies have stopped hiring fresh level engineering graduates. I know, you know, this is not something which we want to hear, but this is the truth, and I'm here to deliver it. Most of the companies are not hiring fresh level graduates. Senior people, I'll tell you one thing which at the moment AI is less capable of compared to humans in tech. Multidisciplinary work, where you have to do multiple, have a seat, it's okay. Multiple work, multidisciplinary work is something which AI lags badly at. To work with database, to work with code, to work with front end, and stitch them together and throw something to you is something which AI is not good at. And I believe it is a long road ahead for AI to get better at that. So if I were to give one word of advice, is learn multiple skills and join them together. That is how you will be relevant in the AI age. AI can go deep. A database-related AI will do a heck good of a job in just the database part. I hope you're getting my point. Multidisciplinary part is where AI lags badly at the moment, which is why senior engineers are still in demand, because they can patch up multiple things together. At the junior level, you're usually only vertical, which AI is doing a very good job at. The next frontier after the engineering, according to me, is going to be the product and the UI. It hasn't arrived yet. No matter what you look at, you know, what is that thing? Banana Nano or something, right? I'm not impressed. I don't know, few people are. I'm not impressed yet. I think still a long way to go. And I really believe that the right technologies haven't come to crack the product and the UI part yet. But I believe that will be the next hurdle which will be broken. And then comes the operations. See, at the moment, Indian cost of operation is far, far lower than adoption of an AI. I would rather still put a call center than use an AI which is making false 50% of the time. I hope you get the point. But for the West, it might not be true. Even if AI makes false 50% of the time, the cost of an executive is very, very high. So hence, they would adopt an AI and they would use the faulter cases for humans. And in India, the cost of labor is still not that much that the operations can be broken by AI. I think that will be the next one. So this is how AI will get perforated in the companies.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you so much. Do we have any more questions for Prashant, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Prashant, thank you so much for that wonderful session. Clearly very energetic, and thank you for the insights. Ladies and gentlemen, Prashant will be here, so if you want to have a quick chat with him, he's at the venue. So please reach out to him, and I really wish you the best. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Just a quick announcement. There's a panel discussion happening in the main hall. Right? Will GCCs in India evolve into AI-powered innovation hubs, or will be sidelined by autonomous agent platforms? And it's being presided by Sanjay Warrior, Vice President, IT and Digital India Strategy at Wesco, John C. Singleton, Director, Tech Solutions, Burns and McDonnell, Saraswati Ramachandra, Managing Director and Country Head at Lightcast, Manish Mittal, Managing Principal and Country Head India at Axtria. So if you guys are interested in that session, it's happening in the main hall. In hall 2, we'll now be breaking for lunch, and honestly, what is Cypher we've had from the future of travel tech. Sessions have been nothing short of inspiring.
We are AIM Media House.
We now, invite you.
Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter.
Definitely attained a cult status.
This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter.
They let us win some exciting prizes. Here's what's happening. Bingo kicked off on day 1 with thrilling challenges. So don't miss your chance to participate and win exciting rewards. There's a treasure hunt happening from 4 to 5 p.m. today. And the top 10 teams will be selected on a first-come, first-served basis. This is a limited registration, so please do register. And of course, some highlights from the conferences so far. Today, we're honored to welcome Leander Pays, who will be presenting awards at the Minsky Awards and joining us for a fun fireside chat. We'll also have Mr. Charu Sharma tomorrow, the voice of Indian sport, the man behind the Pro Kabaddi League, who will be hosting the AI quiz here at Cypher. And for the grand finale with none other than Kenny Sebastian, one of India's most loved stand-up comedians, who will leave us with laughter and fun memories beyond the conference. Now let's get ready for the next session, which is about everything that's up in the air. AI-powered digital cockpits are reshaping aviation from predictive maintenance to pilot decision-making and support. These advances are also transforming enterprise operations, reducing costs, and boosting efficiency. This session explores how AI is both redefining aviation and enterprise ecosystems for the future. Please welcome for this session, we have with us Sanjay Das, Chief Manager, Program Management, Digital and Technology from Air India. He has led initiatives at the intersection of aviation, digital innovation, and enterprise strategy. Today, he will highlight how AI is rewriting aviation and operational excellence at scale and in the air. Over to you, Sanjay.
Hi, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is post-lunch. Can we please welcome him with a huge round of applause?
Hi. Hope you had a good lunch.
Before I start a quick intro, I am Sanjay Das. I'm working as a program manager at Air India. So I have around 25 years of industry experience covering various areas like IT infrastructure support, data center, cloud, cybersecurity. Now I'm primarily focused on digital transformation and AI journey at Air India. So the topic today I'm covering is a little out of the way of my skill set, but still I'll try to justice the topic. So if you look at aviation as an industry, right? So there are three core verticals that work together. One is your airport operations, which is typically your GMR, Adani kind of people who manages the airport. The second is the aircraft manufacturer, could be Airbus or Boeing, right? These are two core engineers who manufacture the aircrafts. And third is our airliners like Air India, Indigo, or Qatar, Emirates, right? So these engineering devices, like AI devices, because these are core engineering devices, the technology and it's designed by Airbus and Boeing kind of people, right? So today I'm going to talk about how AI is transforming in aviation industry. So look at these are the agenda item, how the digital cockpit has evolved from analog to digital, and how AI is driving innovation, transformation, flight operations, and how it is elevating the passengers' experience and airline operations. And third is extending AI-powered cockpit concepts and enterprise operation. May not be relevant for now. We'll start with how it is evaluating the digital cockpit. So if you look at 40, 50 years down the line, the entire engineering was completely analog-based. Now, over a period of time, this analog system has moved from the analog gauge to a digital mode. So where the data collection is happening in various ways, right? So can you tell me how many sensors are there in a aircraft? Any guesses? So approximately 20 to 25,000 sensors are there in one aircraft. So imagine the amount of data it produces, unstructured data it produces in a day when several thousands of aircrafts are running. So all this data helps AI to analyze, overlay the data, and produce meaningful information to pilot so that he can take right decision at the right time. So the advancement of this digital cockpit is having, every year, every minute it is happening. And the interfaces to connect between various, system is also, increasing every now and then. This helps also, it enhances the safety and efficiency of the aircraft. So this is how it does, it collects the data, it predicts the analysis, overlaying various previous data, historical data, and produces the real-time data to, help the pilot to take a right decision at the right time. And see, these innovations are happening so fast that you cannot just change your aircraft, in a year, right? So the aircraft life is around 15 to 20 years, right? So if the technology is changing there are programs which, you have to upgrade your avionics in a timely manner. So like in Air India also, we are upgrading our retrofitting, our interiors, our avionics system so that we are come up to the latest generation of avionics data. So if you look at all this data, right, so we have taken a platform from Airbus. It's called Skywise. So it has got two components. One is it's called Skywise Core, and the other component is called Skywise eHealth. So what it does is, whatever the unstructured data it gets gathered in the core platform, and it also takes insights from various other secondary sources and gives them meaningful information to do the maintenance of the aircraft. So for regular maintenance, we have a system called MRO. You must have heard in aviation about the term called MRO. It's basically maintenance, repair, and overhaul. So we have a system called MOS. What it does is, whenever there is a new aircraft comes in, right, the entire inventory goes into the system, starting from nut and bolt and engine and everything. What is the life cycle of each spare parts? So there is the schedule or calendar chalked out in the MOS system. So on top of that, this Skywise also gives you preventive alerts, saying that, hey, maybe your aircraft is running too many hours. Because of several reasons, right? Let us take an example of this airspace blocked by Pakistan, right? So earlier, our aircraft used to travel across the Pakistan airspace. But because of the airspace blocker, now our route has been increased. The amount of fuel consumption has increased. The amount of flying time has increased. So hence, the maintenance cycle also be impacted, and the Skywise will give you a proactive AI-based alerting, saying that, hey, you can go ahead and do the preventive maintenance. And those are recorded in MOS also as a work order. And once that is done, then again, it keeps that cycle repeating. So again, as I mentioned, right, as we are taking long routes from earlier, the fuel consumption has increased, and as a sustainable organization, we have to think how we can reduce the fuel consumption. So what we have done is we have taken a system from CETA, who is again, CETA is a major player in aviation. So we have taken a software called OptiFlight. What it does is check the real-time weather forecast, how the weather, because your fuel consumption is also depends on how the weather. If it is an extreme winter, your fuel will burn very fast. Right? So the way it checks the real-time weather at the route, and it will suggest the efficient way how you can route the flight so that you can consume less fuel. At the same time, you will reduce the carbon footprint, right? So end of the day, it is a sustainable solution. If all the airlines will adopt, they will definitely reduce the carbon footprint. So yes, so looking at all these, analytics, definitely, I'm not going through each line item, but yes, it really helps to reduce the human error because of automation and things like that. So now the topic is how we are, increasing the passenger experience in airline operations. So we have, I don't know whether you have come across a new in-flight entertainment system in Air India. It's called Vista. So whenever you go and switch off, bring your mobile phone into a airplane mode, you can connect to Wi-Fi called Vista, and then there you can use your own Boyd devices and play the respective entertainment, whatever you like as per your preferences. Now, moving ahead, we are now experimenting and trying to bring the satellite-based internet solution so that you can directly go and select your preferences, could be Netflix or could be Amazon, or could be Apple TV, right, in a way. So along with the advancement of the technology, we are also trying to increase the in-flight and entertainment systems. And again, looking at the past behavior, how the customer likes, what food likes, what are the drinking preferences. We're also coming up with a suggested meal plan. So these are work in progress, but yeah, this will definitely increase the customer delight and customer satisfaction over coming period of time. Again, this nothing new, so this is already kind of in place. So as I mentioned, right, there are 3 core vertical. One is airport operations. This is part of the airport operations. So DigiYatra is already in place, but maybe the adoption is slow. It is taking time to people adopt into the new system. But the whole idea, the objective of this is how we can reduce the traffic at the airport, how we can reduce the check-in time, or how we can, complete our visa processing end-to-end, how we can digitize the whole process. So all this work is currently going on as part of the airport modernization. Various OEMs are working together to make it happen. So as we are talking about AI, so again, AI, you have very common, every organization starts with chat GPT and chatbot. Even Air India has also deployed its chat GPT. And also, so what it does is these are acting as a virtual agent, right? So, they are giving the responses, whatever you are asking. So nowadays, if you must have seen, right, the banking people, you will receive a call saying that, hey, your credit card payment is about to due. So the amount of the fluency that has increased is tremendous, that you cannot recognize whether it is agent, a virtual agent, or a human is speaking on the other side. So the whole point is the way this AI is moving, it will completely change the way we work or think. So as I mentioned, so we are also internally working with several other initiatives, how we can optimize our crew roster, pilot roster, so that it would be efficient enough. Because a lot of manual activity goes behind when you roster a crew members, because you have to look at several factors. There are DGCA guidelines you have to maintain. All those goes into a system. Then there is another layer called, there is software which optimizes all these things, right? So because let's say today there is a crew member A, as performed the duty, then he or she cannot do the next day. So there are different regulator parameters that has to be taken care of. So all this manual rostering part, we are trying to reduce it through agentic AI. So that is what our vision is, and we are continuously working on those areas, how we can optimize the timeline and how we can optimize the performances. So all this, as I mentioned, like Skywise has e-health monitoring. That's a software which we are continuously monitoring as a command center. So when an aircraft takes off, until it lands, that continuous monitoring happens. And this is done through a command center, operation center, and with the intelligence of this data, they take a decision, right? What is the right decision they need to take? So overall, if you look at all this by looking at doing a productive maintenance and giving a right information at the right time to pilot to take a decision, all this also enhances the security compliance aspect of the industry. So the future, again, it's AI, and every now and then it is progressing very fast. So always, aviation industry, the communication channel is a problem, right? So the way it communicates through is called ACARS. It's called Aviation Communication System. It is provided by certain players, like as I mentioned, Cheetah is one of the players globally who has network spread across, and it goes from the ACAR system through satellite channel, or it could be a VHF radio center. So the pilot is always in communication mode. So he has the signal. So again, by doing all this AI, definitely the kind of regulatory compliance, workforce adoption, it will definitely increase. And there are challenges across the different region, culture, how it behave. There are different regulation at different country. So by looking at all those things, how this solution can be adopted is a challenge, but yeah, people are working on it and hope it will be solved. I think these are the three things that I would like to conclude. So the safety is first, right? And how AI can help to improve the enterprise operations. And definitely the future for AI is very bright, and it will use the latest engineering practices to make it an autonomous system. Thank you. And if you have any questions, you can ask.
Ladies and gentlemen, do we have any questions for Mr. Sanjay Das? Yes. Can we please give him the mic? Yeah. Just getting to you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Vishal. I wanted to ask since...
Vishal, if you could please have the mic a little up. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Great.
much better.
What are some areas in aviation that you don't think where AI is potentially not going to replace humans, because it's also a very high risk sector, right? I don't think like when it comes to potentially with as much as you might have autopilots, you still have your pilots landing and taking off, right? So there are obviously areas where AI is not going to replace humans. What are such critical areas in aviation?
Definitely, see, autonomous, when we say, right, it is not completely autonomous, right? It is human-assisted autonomous. So autopilot is already there, right? But when you're talking about autonomous, it is completely pilot-free, but which is not the future that we are looking at. It has to be human plus AI. If you look at the car industry also, right? From last 10, 12 years, we are targeting a autonomous car on the road, right? Still we are struggling looking at, various aspects of it. So aviation would be a combination of, again, AI plus human, I would say.
Do we have any other questions? I completely understand this is a post-lunch session, but we do not have to be this silent as a group. But with that said, can we please give him a huge round of applause? Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjidas. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that was a very interesting question also with say. That wasn't AI, I promise. That was a glitch, and we're good now. Just want to make an important announcement, right? The next session was something that all of us were looking forward to with Mr. Adrian Schmidt, founder and CEO of Sarla Aviation. However, we just found out that he's not keeping well and will not be able to make it to this session. I do feel you, I completely understand. We were all really looking forward to this, but at the moment, we're just hoping he gets well and hopefully can join us in a future session at Cypher. That said, if there are any other talks during this time happening at other halls that pique your interest, please feel free to attend those sessions. We will start with the next session here at 3:15, which is some time. And there's also the speed networking session that will happen at the Expo area. So please do register for that. There's this treasure hunt happening at the AIM Media booth. If you haven't registered already, that will be limited to 10 teams only. So please do register. We will have Leander Pays giving out the Muskie awards in a bit. And there's also, just a sec, there's also another booth, the EXL booth, which is hosting some very interesting activities around generative AI and data science. So please do take a look at that. We will start with the next session at 3:15, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
And I've seen this place, artificial intelligence, AI, and the vibe around that. AI. Over the years, the largest AI conference in India.
We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell
Cypher has
stories that
definitely
matter.
attained a cult status.
This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM. We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM.
There's a lot of empty seats here. I know it will be filling in very soon. If you have friends and colleagues who wanted to be here but aren't here, now's the time to just call them, text them. Another quick announcement.
We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM.
For Mamta Naidu. Ladies and gentlemen, can we put it together for Mamta Naidu, please? Thank you. Over to you, Mamta.
We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru.
Have more real-time decisioning. The pace at which we are seeing digital disruption, the evolving market conditions around us, and most importantly, the rising customer expectations. So I think it's needless to say that organizations have to be a lot more nimble and have to enable a lot more real-time decision making. Real-time decision making is not new. It's not a new concept that's just bubbling right now. We've had data in the past, we've been able to identify, monitor, but what do you do with it is the change that we're going to talk about today, right? So it's not about just gathering the data, but how do you enable decisions that's very, very aligned to the business goals is something that we're going to unpack. So over the next 15 minutes, what I'm going to talk about is the architecture that's needed to enable this. How important is it to align to the business goals, and some use cases across industries. Can I have the clicker? Sorry, I didn't take the clicker.
Yeah, the team's just getting it to you. One moment.
Green one to move forward, right? Okay, before we talk more about real-time decisioning, very quickly, what do we mean by real-time and why is it even needed, right? So real-time decisioning is the process of collecting, processing, analyzing data very quickly as soon as the data is generated, right? Like unlike batch, once you have the data generated, it probably takes hours or days before you're able to analyze the data. So that is what real-time decisioning is versus the traditional batch. Now, why is it needed, right? So if you look at it, let's talk a bit about the competitive advantage that you would have, right? So it's also about being able to engage with the users when they are right there at the moment. Like think about you doing a Swiggy order, right? And the payment is taking too long. Now, would you prefer a timeout versus at a real time, the payment is taking longer? What if Swiggy is able to give you that, hey, it's taking long to process the order. We know you're a good customer. You've made all of the payments in the past, etc. You can pay later, but place the order now. So that's a decision that's there. So that way, they have not lost the customer. They are still taking the order, and there's a decision that's been made real time. So how do you stay competitive with some of that, right? Like from a retail aspect, right? Think about dynamic pricing. We all have visibility if we have worked in retail to say what's the right price, the product, what's the demand, what's the competition like. Being nimble and being able to make those price changes to stay competitive, either your decision is to be the lowest price, highest price, whatever that is, right? But being able to make that decision real time and action on it and not wait for a human to make that. That is real-time decision making. Now, improved responsiveness, wait times. Now, how often do we go shopping and in case there's increased checkout lines, we kind of just chuck the bag and walk out, right? Like none of us have patience to kind of wait for it. But imagine if we are able to build systems and use systems that will monitor the wait time, and in case the wait time is longer, it enables another queue, or immediately the help desk is alerted and the customer service kind of kicks in, right? So those are cases where we are increasing the responsiveness. Think about risk reduction. Cases like fraud, right? Like if you are monitoring transactions, monitoring returns, and you're able to stop that before it happens, you're reducing the risks that are happening. So there are a lot of use cases that we'll talk about in finance and retail where we're talking about risk reduction. Personalized experiences like coupons, right, that are very, very personal to you. Like if you bought a product, what if you get a coupon enabled as you're browsing before you check out that tells you, hey, you've bought the shirt, if you buy the trousers, you get 5% off. So they've not only done an upsell, at that point, you've also made sure another additional purchase is added to your cart and you're making that purchase. So that's about the personal experiences, and needless to say, automation at scale. We can use it to reduce manual intervention, streamline fraud, and a lot of other use cases. So we are reducing, making the decisions, and making our systems faster. I'm clicking. Can someone else like?
Can we get the next slide, please?
Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, let's talk a bit about the architecture, right? So we've briefly spoken the advantages, why do we need it, but what does the architecture look like, right? This is a very common architecture. Basis the use cases, some of these elements could change, but I've picked up something that's very broad. Now let's talk about the data sources, right? Your data sources are nothing but your apps, your IoT, your sensor devices, your APIs, anything that's gathering this information is your data sources. So that's the most important thing because that is where you get all of your data from, right? Let's talk about once you have the data, what do? You need to have an ingestion layer. So the ingestion layer is the entry point for your data pipeline. So it handles large volume of data. The most important thing is to make sure as a part of your ingestion, you're not losing data, right? That's the key role over there as a part of the data ingestion. And the primary responsibility over here is to buffer, queue, stream data without data loss. So that is the data ingestion layer. As soon as you've gathered the data, next is the data ingestion. Now you have all of this data, you've made sure you have checks and balances in place to make sure you don't have data loss. What's next? Next is the streaming process, right? So streaming, think of streaming like the brain of the system. So this is the process that occurs before you store the data, right? So what essentially happens in streaming is you're filtering the data, you're aggregating, you're doing anomaly detection, you're enriching it with maybe third-party data. Like you want to, you have internal customer data, you want to marry that sales data, you want to marry that with weather or economic conditions or anything like that. That's more external, right? All of this aggregation, enhancement, etc., happens in your streaming layer, which is your stream processing. Storage. When it's real-time processing, it's super important that you're able to get responses very quickly, right? So you have to think about a hot storage. So something that's low latency, it's giving you response like within milliseconds, right? Seconds and milliseconds. So you can couple that with the cold storage, where you're going to use this information and save it for like history, eventually trend analysis, etc., etc. So think about the storage as two aspects to it, the hot storage and the cold storage. Okay? Now that you have all of this, right, now you have the data saved. There's two things that you can do. You can use visualization and decision interference. So this is basically monitors, alerts, graphs, etc., that you can set up that's telling you that, hey, there's an anomaly, you need to action on this, etc. The other aspect that we're layering in, which is different and which is what people are trying to implement right now, is the analytics or ML layer, right? So this is the ML pipeline where you can introduce your anomaly detection, your personalization, recommendation, just not on products, upsell, cross-sell, etc., that you can do, and prediction. So imagine putting all of this together that enables you to do this recommendation within seconds of when the data has arrived for you taking an action. So this is like a basic common architecture for enabling a data-driven system. I'll go on to the next one, which is basically when you're designing this, key considerations that we have to keep in mind. The first one being clear business objective. I think it's super important to understand what are we solving for. A lot of times, there is investment put in where we have alerts, where we have monitors in place, but we do not have clarity on what is the decision that needs to be taken, right? That becomes very, very important because this architecture is high cost. You're trying to enable real time, right? So it is high cost. Not knowing what is your end objective could be detrimental because you could put in alerts in place, monitors in place, but not knowing what action to take, which will eventually kind of put this down the drain. So I think clarity on the use case, how quickly you need to respond. There could be certain things that you need a response time within milliseconds. Like think about use cases like in payments, right? You're waiting for your OTP. How comfortable are we? As soon as we have that and it says generated OTP, within like seconds you're anxious, right? Like 5 seconds you're like, I haven't gotten the OTP, something's wrong, right? Versus something else which has a slightly higher tolerance of seconds. So keep in mind use case and latency, which is important as you're designing the systems. The second one, we have to have a reliable data ingestion. Everything that we solve for is as good or bad as the data. So making sure you're having a reliable data ingestion is super important so that you're not making wrong decisions, right? So it's important that we invest in a fault-tolerant platform and a scalable platform as well, right? Like what you don't want to solve for is one use case. You want to solve for a lot more. So how do you kind of scale and how do you pick something that's fault-tolerant and aligned to what the vision that you're trying to solve for? Data quality, I can never like stress less on how have a good logic implemented in it. You should have a failover, you should have distributed processing, etc. So all of those are important as you think about scalability and a fault-tolerant system. Next, minimize latency. So we'll have to look at in-memory computation, efficient algorithms for us to be able to do it within milliseconds or seconds, right? Modular design, extensible design, etc. So we have to build the pipelines that are loosely coupled in certain stages, because if you want to bring in maintenance, there's a fault that you want to fix, you can't bring the whole system down. So thinking about modularity is a key aspect of your design as well. Then observability and event-driven architecture. So this is to handle like dynamic workload, support real-time responsiveness. How do you kind of create an event-driven architecture? So what does, once you have all of this in place, you have your data, you've figured how you're going to do the architecture, you have your data pipeline integrated, what next? I think the basic thing that happens is, how do you enable real-time monitoring and alerts, right? We'll come to decisioning, but how do you even enable real-time monitoring and alerts? So if you look at this, you have continuous data capture that's happening from all of your input devices that we spoke about. How do you make sure there's anomaly detection? How are you setting up visualization dashboards? A lot of the business use cases might need a command center like setup where somebody is monitoring in addition to all of the systemic alerts that's in place. How do you put in alert management practices? If this happens, I need to take an action Y, right? Like who needs to be involved, what decision can be automated, what needs a manual intervention, and who does the notification need to go to? So very 101, but I think having this alongside you building the data pipeline and the architecture is important for you to bring in the real-time monitoring and alerting. So very quickly, this is not exhaustive, a few examples of what can be used in your architecture, right? So for streaming, you could use Kafka or Amazon Kinesis. For processing, Spark or Flink. For storage, you could use Cassandra, MongoDB for the hot storage. Visualization, Grafana, Kibana Stack, and for the ML integration, TensorFlow. Few examples, this is not the exhaustive ones, but market kind of recommend it. So I'll go on to the use cases for some of this, starting with the retail one, right? So I'm from retail, so this is always very close to my heart when people speak retail. Personalized promotions, right? Think about if you were to walk into the store or you are browsing online, and before you make a purchase, basis of your shopping pattern or what you've bought in the past, or what you are browsing but you haven't added to the cart, if the system is able to real time give you recommendations or offers or coupons that enables you to complete that purchase, right? So that is personalized promotion as a use case in retail. Dynamic pricing we spoke about, like how do I kind of increase or decrease or whatever I want to do with my pricing and offers, do that near real time, basis of either competition, basis of the demand that I've met for the day, or several other factors, right? Fraud and anomaly. If I'm having somebody suddenly purchase high ticket items or fraudulent transactions, how do I catch that up front? Or returns, right? Like frequent returns. How do I catch that up front and block the customer from maybe enabling return for them to be able to do it, right? So how do I do some of that? Backend, inventory visibility and replenishment. Think about everything that goes onto the shelf. If there is a way I know I always need to have this product stocked, why do I need to have a human in the loop to reorder the product? Like, why can't I enable that in the system? So visibility into inventory and restocking decisions can be made near real time. Sentiment and market intelligence. A lot of times, like, you could put new products out there that you want to test, you want to see what the customers feel about it, right? You want to see the real-time feedback from social media. You want to react to it quickly, so that way you're able to even like safeguard brand reputation and not wait for the end of the day and know like, oh, customer hated my product. There was a lot of theme around it because the quality was poor or something else was bad, et cetera, right? So how do you kind of react to sentiment and market intelligence quickly? Finance, real time has been there for quite some time, so this is not going to be very new. Fraud detection and prevention is something that all of y'all are familiar with. Something that's picking up pace right now is trading. right? So millisecond, analytics that's helping you react to market conditions, right? A lot of them are testing their trading agents right now. You don't need a human checking and moving your stocks across the market. How do you do that real time, right? So that's a use case over there. Real-time calculation of credit, loyalty, etc. So I think banking has already done a lot of this today. And personalized loan and credit offers. So when you log in, a lot of times you see just for you this personal loan at this particular price, or this credit card offer at this, etc. So all of those come into finance use cases. So we'll go to healthcare. Super important. Some of the reaction time for this cannot be in seconds or minutes, will need to be in milliseconds, right? Something that we are all very familiar with is the patient monitoring alerts that have been set up, especially if somebody's in the ICU, right? Then emergency response optimization. How do you kind of set things up for you to know which is the nearest ambulance, right? How can I do that systemically so that those alerts goes, you're able to reach out to the ambulance and they are reaching the patient's place quickly. So how do you optimize some of this and not waiting for the traditional methods, right? Real-time tracking of equipment, staff, bed occupancy, etc., so that you're able to make those decisions. Think about the COVID times, all of us hated, but that was the time when bed occupancy was so critical, right? Like, how do I have real-time visibility into it so that I'm able to know how many patients can I take, etc., etc. Real-time drug tracking, drug inventory that's there. How do I replenish some of the staple ones without needing a human intervention? Supply chain, very quickly. Route optimization, being nimble, being able to change it basis of traffic, weather, wars. There's just so many new factors that have come into play, right? Like, how do I optimize some of this as a part of supply chain? And warehouse operations, right? Like, can I be able to detect bottlenecks, remove them, restaff people that they're working wherever they're working in the warehouse. So some of this fall into the supply chain use cases. I know I'm out of time. I'm going to take a quick minute. While all of this is great, there are so many use cases that we can find out. It's important that we keep in mind that we need high data velocity. Like, there are a couple of challenges that we have to keep in mind as we're implementing it, right? It's important that we have data quality and consistency in data. You can't have it run for an hour and not have it run for the next hour, right? So it's super important that you have consistency and data quality. Latency and speed constraints that are there to be able to implement it. Integration complexity with like the old systems, because a lot of companies have legacy systems, right? So how do you kind of integrate it? Cost management, because this is real time. There is a cost aspect to it, and security and privacy as well. So I think essential for organizations, keeping in mind your use case, your challenges, and where you want to invest in to make faster, smarter, more personalized decisions. That is where you use real-time analytics, where you want to have a balance of speed, reliability, scalability as well. Core principles like quality, monitoring, pipeline design, fault tolerance, continuous monitoring is needed to ensure these are successful. And start small. Start with clear objectives, proof of concepts, monitor closely, and then kind of scale. So that's all I had for this topic. Thank you so much for listening in.
Thank you. Thank you, Mamta. Do we have any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Can we please get the mic there? We'll come to you, sir. We'll come to you.
Hi, Mamta. This is Mihir from Cognivera. I wanted to ask you, in a real-time scenario, what processes or techniques do you use for data quality and validation?
Yep. So for data quality and validation, what we put in place is playbooks. You know the trend of what the data numbers are or the frequency of it. You put thresholds. You basically define exception thresholds, right? So anything that's going beyond these thresholds get captured as an anomaly, right? And also continuous data. Like, you need to, in an hour, you need to have 12 data points, or in a minute, you need to have 12 data points. So there's various aspects to it where you bring in exception thresholds, you bring in like quantity or the frequency of it as well. As a part of some of the data quality checks that we do. Yeah.
Can we get the mic here, please? A little in front.
Hi, I'm Shomitra. My question is about technology change management, right? So you talked about this nice and wonderful pipeline, but how do you, make that change and, keep it current?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not easy to make that change, and there are a lot of challenges to make the change. Also because, like I said, we have a lot of legacy systems, so kind of connecting them, the additional investment that's needed to even enable this, right? There's ROI of, I could enable this use case, but what am I going to get back? Because companies are thinking wisely as to where to put their money. Right? So I think it's easier when you have a new architecture, where you have a new event-driven architecture to plug all of this in. But having API access so that you're able to extract data and make this happen is, I think, the first important thing, right? So it's not easy, I agree. In theory, everything feels well, but I think getting the right use case, getting to know how I can enable this with my current system and technology is key, and it varies. Like if there are more modern systems, it's easier. But if you have traditional legacy systems, like I have in my organization, some of the pricing systems are super, super old, like 50s and 60s years old, because they've, the company's been there for 100+ years. They're really tough. So we are looking at how do I modernize and then enable some of these use cases. So it can be a portion of both.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Mamta. Do we have any other questions in the audience? All right, 2 more. Yes.
Hi,
please.
Mamta. Thank you for the session. It was very informative. Just a quick question. Talked a lot about how in the retail space the real-time decisioning helps for consumers and for operational perspective. How is this use case actually implemented for your leadership and for your management? Can you talk a little bit about that help me understand?
So I want to make sure I heard you right. So you're asking how did I make that, how did it work?
How is real-time decisioning used by the leadership team or by the management team to make some strategic or operative decisions?
Yeah. I can give an example of what we've been trying to implement, which is the real-time pricing, right? Across your website, you have products which are traffic drivers, and then you have other products that you want to sell, right? Like customer is not looking for it, but you want to sell that to the customer, right? And the traffic drivers are typically available in X other websites. So how can I use competitive price scraping to be able to look at pricing across competition every X hours, and I'm fine as long as my margins are, I'm just making this up, 30% up, and I want to be the most competitive, right? Specifically between, let's say for my company, most of the shoppers are between 12 and 4. So at that time, I want to stay competitive. The other times if somebody's shopping, like I'm good to make some margin, right? Decisions like this are near real time, where I'm scraping, looking at pricing. So one of such use cases is for retail. Yeah. You good?
Thank you. There was another gentleman in the middle. Yes? Can we please get him the mic?
Hi, this side Ayush from DataVids. So basically what I wanted to ask is, let's suppose an organization is trying to implement real-time analytics for the first time. And the question is like how we should scale the real-time analytics, like whether we should do it for multiple pipelines in the initial phase, or should we try to incorporate all the crucial components first and then scale it up horizontally for multiple pipelines? Thank you.
Yeah. I briefly touched upon it. I truly believe a proof of concept is important. So pick an area. If I were to again take a retail example, bear with me. I would pick supply chain as an example, right? Like there are numerous use cases. I would design to pick 2 or 3 supply chain use cases, scale in that, and then kind of expand it. If we are, because it's very, very expensive, and then you're gathering this data and you're figuring out storage, and then you don't know what to do with it, where you're increasing your costs, but there's no decision, there's no ROI from it. So I highly, highly recommend to pick an area where you see opportunities. In organizations, it's very important to get alignment with technology, with business, right? What is business wanting to do with it? Tech is an enabler. You can say, I will get you data every few seconds. But what can business do with it becomes very important to bringing them into the mix and discussing with them, does it make sense for you to get the anomaly every 3 minutes, how you're going to enable it. So start small is very important because you're able to show ROI to then get further investment.
Hope that answers your question. We have one more. In the interest of time, this will be the last question. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So for the real-time storage, you use big data-based framework, right? Is there a chance like going for GPU-based models for storing large data, vector database kind of thing?
Possibly, not the expert at that. Not have I used it for certain use cases, but definitely something that could be explored, yeah.
Okay,
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please give her a huge round of applause. Mamta Naidu, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mamta. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we've come to the last session today. Just a quick announcement, right? So the last session here finishes at around 4:15. And at 4:30, we will have Leander Pace joining us for the Minsky Awards that he'll be handing out at the main hall. So once we finish the session here, requesting all of you to please be around and grab a seat in the main hall for the Minsky Awards with Leander Pace. And before that, now introducing the last session for Day 2, Cypher 2025 at Hall 2. This session is about how AI can amplify traditional knowledge systems, and Ayurveda offers a rich foundation for personalization. This session explores AI-driven healthcare solutions that enhance diagnostics, decision support, and research scalability, a fusion of ancient wisdom with modern technology. Can we please have the speaker profile on screen? Please welcome Dr. Prasanna Kulkarni, Professor at SK Ayurveda Medical College and Research Center. Dr. Kulkarni is pioneering the integration of AI into Ayurveda, bringing personalized healthcare to the 21st century. Can we please give him a warm welcome? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last day for the session. I will make you work a little harder. Can we please give him a huge round of applause? Yes. All right. Over to you, Dr. Prasanna.
Good evening. Myself, Dr. Prasanna Kulkarni, working as a professor in one of the Ayurvedic Medical College at Bengaluru. In fact, a kind of alien for this gathering. Out of my passion, I started working towards data science. Now slowly I moved towards building up some of the AI agent using custom GPT. So in today's presentation, I'll be more happy to share what Ayurveda can do for personalized medicine, taking the help of artificial intelligence. So with that, Now when you come across healthcare, now the whole healthcare focus is on personalized health. Now what is this personalized health? Say for example, two of you go to a Pani Puri vendor, Golgappa. You have 2 plates and your friend also have 2 plates of Golgappa. Next day morning your stomach is upset, whereas your friend good enough to attend his regular activities. Now how come that? Your body has responded bit different with the same kind of Pani Puri at the same time consumed with the same vendor, right? So when Pani Puri can have that kind of effect on your body, why not the medicine? Earlier, there was a concept that one medicine will have its impact on this specific disease for all the individuals. Gone are those days. Now modern medicine is moving towards personalized medicine. The medicine that works for you within this span of time to give the result may not be applicable for the other person with the same condition at the same point of time. And hence, personalized medicine is in place. So there are a lot of insights with respect to genomics, big data, predictive models. By using that, the world is moving towards personalizations of medications, medical approach, healthcare approach. Now, when it comes to Ayurveda, do Ayurveda have anything to say on that? Yes. 5,000 years ago, Ayurveda strongly believed on personalized medicine, and hence the concept of Prakriti is in place. I'm sure that the people who are born before 1980s might have heard about this Prakriti from your grandmas. How many of you are aware of the word Prakriti? Can you please raise your hand? Your grandmother saying that if you eat that, your Vata will go up. Yeah, fine. Still we can see some hands up with the younger generation too. Thanks. The traditional knowledge is being carried. Now, what exactly is that? So that is nothing but the scientific translation of traditional wisdom under the name called Prakriti. Now, what is this Prakriti? Prakriti is your body constitution. Every individual right at the time of birth will carry some genes from their parents, and Ayurveda strongly believes that these genetic influence are also being influenced by the way how the pregnant lady consumed food, got exposed to lifestyles during pregnancy. Right? You can map it to the Abhimanyu story, Chakravyuh. You know that? How Abhimanyu knows about that? Yeah. Those kind of things Ayurveda strongly believed and explained the same thing. These are all the factors that influence the health of an individual even before birth. Now, having said that, we as Ayurvedic physicians strongly believe in the Prakriti, and based on that we identify what has changed in the current disease condition. Now let's keep this disease apart. When we talk about Prakriti within the physiological limits, within the normal limits, we have much to play, much to understand. Let me give example at family level. Suppose, let's presume Romeo and Juliet are couple. Now Romeo will tell Juliet over the phone, this weekend, Saturday evening, let's go to a mall to watch a movie. Right? They planned, and after finishing his weekdays of laborious work, now Romeo will take Juliet to movie mall. When they entered, Romeo had booked two tickets for a movie which was filled with action. Now after going over there, Juliet will tell, no, I don't like action movies. I thought you have booked romantic movies. Now all of a sudden Romeo has to cancel those tickets and buy the new one. Why this has happened? Maybe you might have experienced this. Why? Because Romeo don't know the Prakriti of Juliet. As simple as that. Now what exactly is that? Knowing the Prakriti, not exactly in terms of body or the physical trait, but also mental traits matters a lot. If I could have been in the place of Romeo, I will call Juliet and tell, book 2 tickets for us for Saturday night, evening. That's it. She will not blame for anything, right? There is where this Prakriti come in place, right? We can take it at the level of HR. If HR head knows the Prakriti of the recruiter, the new joinee, they can give the appropriate position for that person based on the mental characters. Say for example, Vatic people, they have the tendency of moving around. They can't adhere to a specific project. They can't stay in a company for more than 2 years. 2 years is a big time for Vatic individuals. Whereas Kapha individuals, whatever you say, whatever you do, they stick on to their project, to their companies. These kind of influences can be brought if you know the Prakriti of an individual. Now the same thing as Ayurvedians we use in the management of disease. If this disease is influenced with this dosha and the disease is also predominated with dosha, then this is the approach. These kind of insights we have while we deal with our patients. And hence, there comes the holistic approach, because we will be considering not just the body, but also mind. And also some other parameters like lifestyles which have influenced the disease concern. And hence, these are the two extremes. The modern world is moving towards personalized medicine with all genomics, big data, predictive medicine. And Ayurveda since ages have strongly believed and been practicing, of course with little evidence. Now there is a time to marry them. Here comes the combination of AI in traditional medicine. Yeah, In Ayurveda, we strongly believe with respect to the dosha, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. I think some of you might have heard these terms. There are certain things like guna. Gunas are the qualities, rasas are the taste, right? Virya is the potency. All these will have their impact. Either it can be in the form of food or in the form of medicine. They will have their impact, and the shrotas, that is the body channels, plays a very important role. One combination at one site will give some other response in the body. For example, the same pani puri, next if can you take, instead of you having diarrhea, it may cause vomiting to you. The expressions differs based on the channels that are involved. And hence, by understanding all these different kind of variables, we can predict the susceptibility of the specific diseases based on various factors with respect to season, time, place, all this matters a lot. And hence, accordingly, we can prescribe tailored diet and lifestyle modification. Gone are those days when you go, you pay a visit to Ayurvedic doctor and he give you a list, do that, don't do this. Now, people demands for tailor-made prescriptions in terms of lifestyle and dietary modification. Kashayams, decoctions. I have no choice for that, but at least in food, give me some options. That is the way how I am receiving a response from my patients, right? So preventive strategy as well as integrative care plays an important role. The image over there is nothing but the identification of certain genes which have shown that they are responsible for those specific doshas in Prakriti. And they have been published in various peer-reviewed scientific journals. Yes, now the challenge is how to understand Prakriti. Now there are various methods. Recently we have come across with one AI-enabled technology called Nadi Tarangini, where the Prakriti is assessed using a Bluetooth device. That's apart. Apart from that, it is purely based on questionnaires, based on the observation made by the physician. And when we enable all this, then we can come to proper conclusion. But it takes a lot of efforts, time, and understanding. That matters a lot. Modern healthcare system lacks structured methods for Ayurvedic profiling. That's the problem. See, if I say Prakriti, if I say Vata, if you ask me how best I can understand this Vata with respect to modern terms, I have no clue. I can't just tell that Vata is nothing but nervous system. No, it is not exact translation. In different situations, different channels, it is expressed in different way. And hence, we need a proper method of understanding these terms with respect to contemporary science. And whatever we understand, that need to be properly, that need to be precise, scalable, and it can be accessible across. And hence, now what are we doing? With respect to India's leadership, yes, at All India Institute of Ayurveda, they have come across Ayur Informatics Lab. There is a Namaste portal. Ayush Grid is there, which they are working for the progression of how best AI can be enabled in Ayurveda. Apart from that, AI Traditional Medicine Center have been inaugurated at Jamnagar. WHO Traditional Center have been inaugurated at Jamnagar last year, which brings a new dimension to explore how best AI can be used in this traditional medicine. Drug discovery. Now what happens if a person consumes allopathy medicine with Ayurveda medicine? Whether there will be any synergistic effect, antagonistic effect, we have no clue. All those things need to be properly studied, and there will be so many variables to understand those things. Definitely we need technology, we need AI in place to disseminate properly. Ayurveda plus AI, yes, India's global health edge, that's the future thing. Now challenges, what are the challenges? As I mentioned, understanding these terms. What I call one substance in Kerala should be the same in Kashmir. But that is not the situation. And hence, to standardize that, Government of India come forward and they are standardizing these terms. Validation via clinical research. In past few decades, lot of research are happening and being published in various magazines, which will prove the scientific credibility of Ayurveda. Ethical use of data, cultural sensitivity, transparency, all this matters when it comes for the data. Building in interdisciplinary teams, yes. and Ayurvedic alone cannot make the difference. A person outside Ayurveda hardly understand Ayurveda, and hence there should be a proper marriage between artificial intelligence and Ayurveda. Yeah, of course, there are certain AI as an enablers like digital questionnaires, natural language processing, all those things can be there. There are certain biomarkers like C-reactive protein, HbA1c, which can be used in Ayurvedic concepts to understand the disease in a better way. So there are certain AI agents which I have developed. I thought of showing in this gathering. I will quickly share. Okay, one sec. Give me a second. Yeah, I'm duplicating my screen, but it's not getting reflected over there. Screen duplication. So what exactly these models are? What I did is I have built a knowledge base pertinent to Ayurveda data. I have trained the custom GPT models so that it gives the information trained on those data with few examples. Okay, so for example, if a diabetic person goes to any Ayurvedic physician, he will give a set of do's and don'ts. You are not supposed to eat curd. You have to take barley. Now, what kind of barley? Are we going to restrict our customers only for Indian subcontinent? No. By using such custom GPTs, the whole world can be patients. So what it does, whatever the do's and don'ts that are explained in Ayurvedic classics, they can be translated and tailor-made sessions can be given, not just the person who stays at Bengaluru, but also person who stays in the remote village of Mandya and the person who is living in Tokyo, without compromising on the principles and the foods that are mentioned in Ayurvedic context, in Ayurvedic textbooks. So this is what about such AI tools are. So I have developed one such tool pertaining to diabetes. It's called Madhumay GPT. The other one is on yoga AI, where, for example, if the person is new for yoga, it will ask few questions for him, and based on his exposure to yoga, it will give him tailor-made yoga practices, and of course with some YouTube links, valid YouTube links, where he can go through and practice the same. The third one is Patya GPT, which I have crafted for Ayurvedic physicians, where apart from diabetes, the other disease database have been added at the back end, which gives the tailor-made suggestions for the specific disease condition. Right? Apart from that, practicing at Bengaluru is really a challenging task for Ayurvedic physicians. Few years back, I got a call from my patient who is around 55, 56 years old. She calls me around 7:30 evening. Doctor, I had tomato 15 minutes back. Before consuming tomato, I checked in glucometer, my sugar was 200. After having tomato, it has gone up to 220. Whether a small tomato increases my blood sugar by 20 mg per dl? No, what she had before, what she was doing while having tomato, what she done in that 15 minutes, that does not matter. She want to blame it on tomato. Because I told certain things not to eat. I told tomato can be consumed, and now she want to disprove that a small tomato is harmful for her diabetes. Yes. For them, I have crafted a GPT called Foodie GPT, where whatever you type, it will give you not just the calorie, but also the protein content, the glycemic index, glycemic load. As per Ayurveda, is it going to increase Vata, decrease Pitta, whatever, and culinary, where exactly it has come from, Of course, the most important thing is after that, what next? How many steps you have to move to burn the calories from that food stuff? That's Foodie GPT. Of course, you can have too many use cases. It's fine. Okay, fine, no problem. Can I have the slides, please? Slides? Yep. Yep. So that's about the Foodie GPT. Apart from that, you can have few more use cases. Now my wife, what she does is she just opens a refrigerator, take a pics, and ask that Foodie GPT, can you craft me breakfast for my family? And based on the things that she sees in that refrigerator, it gives some suggestion. Maybe based on the batter, it may suggest her to prepare dosa, whatever, using all the vegetables, some specific sabji kind of thing. Okay, so this is another use case with respect to such custom GPTs. Apart from that, this is for public as well as Ayurvedic physicians. Now, when we talk about Ayurveda as an education, in fact, we will be studying Sanskrit as one of the language during our first year. Many times students drops out just hearing the Sanskrit subject after entering Ayurvedic colleges. For that, I have crafted a tool called Sanglish. Now, what exactly the Sanglish is? It's a mixture of Sanskrit and English, where if you give a word in Sanskrit, it gives its contextual meaning in Ayurveda. So, getting meaning as per the context in Sanskrit is a very challenging task. Like say, for example, hallucination. If I use the word hallucination 5 years back from now, there was no doubt hallucination was a clear-cut medical terminology. Now, it is playing a very vital role in AI, right? Hallucination. Like the same, in Sanskrit, there are various terms which gives contextual meaning. And hence, to overcome that, this Sanglish have been crafted. Now, a step ahead. It creates shlokas for your own. I can create a shloka stating that Prasanna Kulkarni came to this summit, presented a paper on this day. This is what happened. Everything will be written in Sanskrit language in the form of shloka, mantras. That's the beauty of that Sanglish. Of course, you can have more such use cases, various. Yeah, so these are the various things I thought of discussing with you. To conclude, Ayurveda pioneered in personalization. Yes, medicine to get personalized is the need of the hour, but when it is added with Ayurveda concepts, it can be a better understanding of human's body when it comes for prescribing medicine. AI make it scalable, actionable, and global. Together, it can be personalized, preventive, profoundly human healthcare. Yes, tradition meets technology. Obviously, this is the need of the hour. Now the thing is how best you can contribute for our Indian tradition, right? So it's mentioned in Rigveda that Anoy Badra Krutoyentu Vishwata. Let the noble thought come from all the direction across the globe. So this is one attempt. So I'm thankful.
Maybe 3,000, 4,000 years. Maybe 3,000, 4,000 years. How can, and those are in Sanskrit, pure Sanskrit. And as you are doing something in Sanskrit, which is English to Sanskrit, can we not do it opposite and use all the scripts, whatever we have with Ayurvedas or all the medical scripts, and use it for like day-to-day AI and build AI on top of it?
Yep, that's the sincere efforts we are trying to do, sir. All the scriptures of Ayurveda written in Sanskrit language, many a times around 100 years back, the person who translated misunderstood the concept and translated, and hence we are losing much of the contextual meaning now. Now, with respect to the help of AI, we are able to translate as per the context. So that's the attempt going on, but hallucination is another challenge what we are facing. Of course, I'm working to overcome that by maintaining the temperature at the back end, but still it's being a challenge. I'm pretty sure that we can overcome that when a person from good stuff in AI can join hands with Ayurvedians.
Hi, I'm Priyadashini from GVW. We attempted to digitize the Ayurvedic documents actually.
Excellent.
So with monographs, it is easy to digitize. But with Sanskrit documents, all the text is not just text. It is poetic and it is like clubbed words.
Yep.
It is not easy to split all those things. What is your thought on that?
Yeah, that is the reason now I'm coming out with another custom GPT version called Sanglish Pro, where at the back end I have used a hardcore Sanskrit grammar tool at the back end.
Okay.
That will able to split the word in a better way. Like there are certain Sanskrit grammatical terms like artha, arthasha, something like that. I'm unable to recollect at this point of time. So that tool is helping to dissect the word more specifically with context as well as grammar in place. So that modeling is being in progress. Maybe in couple of months when it is ready, I think it will give better insight than simple Sanglish version. Okay. So that's the need of we need to understand the Sanskrit grammar to its core. At the same time, that grammar should have the ability, the AI model, whatever you train, should have the ability to understand the contextual meaning, not just language grammar.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Sir, one question. You had mentioned that...
Could you please stand up where you are? We can't identify where you are. Oh, okay. Hello. Yes. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
you had mentioned in one of the slides that you were actually trying to take things like HB1AC, you were trying to take other modern markers and correlating it with your Ayurvedic markers. So how are you doing the correlation? Is it like simple correlation or causation?
Yeah, see, again, when it comes for, in Ayurveda, it is called as Karya Karana Siddhanta, that is cause and effect. Say, for example, again, when it comes for HbA1c, it is nothing but 3 months blood sugars average. Now, in Ayurveda, with respect to a specific Prakriti person suffering with diabetes, say, for example, in Kapha Prakriti person, when he have HbA1c of, say, for example, 9, okay, so his response for medication, lifestyle and dietary modification is different from a Vatic Madhumehi, that is diabetic person with Vata dominance, his response will be a bit different. So by knowing the Prakriti and HbA1c, we will be able to infer how the things are going to, we can predict in fact. So we will be using those as a biomarkers, not just Prakriti alone, but also those as a biomarkers. That's what I meant.
Okay, thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
All right, can we please give the gentleman there in the first row the mic?
Namaste, sir.
You'll have to turn it on just a sec.
Sir, namaste.
Namaste.
My name is Soumya Mukherjee. I work for Apple. My question to you is, what help do you need from us as a community so that we can work towards bringing this more to the world or India?
RAG. See, the current problem what we are facing is hallucination. However, the data I upload to the system, it hallucinates. I tried with Notebook LM. It is relatively better than Perplexity as well as custom GPT models. But still, I am facing hallucination. Once when you are able to overcome that, I think we can present Ayurvedic data at its best.
We can help you fix that.
My pleasure, sir.
Would definitely, there was a good applause as well from the crowd. And yes, thank you. Would really encourage you to connect after he's off the stage, right? Do we have any other questions? Yes, the gentleman here.
It's really awesome to see this. This is Vikram from Vedifix. Currently, we have almost digitized around 500,000 pages in Sanskrit. One of the challenges that we are facing is like how to segregate them. So like, do you have any tool or some inputs where we can actually build a classification, where we can actually identify some data?
No, sir. I have, I learned a bit of Python. and some ML models, but going to the hardcore of Sanskrit terminologies to like analyze that and understand that descriptive data into different buckets, even I have my own limitations.
Yeah, because one of the bigger challenge, even in Sanskrit, we have seen that different region, like North has a different lipi, whereas South, like mostly North, they follow Dev lipi in Sanskrit, whereas South is a different lipi.
No. It's lipi is the same, sir. We all adhere to Devanagari lipi, that is Sanskrit. Okay. The only difference is understanding that substance with respect to the translation. See, for example, for me, Chandan is something different in South India, whereas in North India, the species of Chandan is a bit different. Depending on the cultivation of that sandalwood. So like that, we need to standardize many such concepts.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. My pleasure.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? All right, ladies and gentlemen, can you please... Okay, we do have a question. I'm so sorry. We are a curious bunch today. Please go ahead.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
This is Vamshi. It was really one of the interesting sessions that we had from last 2 days. So one quick question, okay, that I would like to check. You have named couple of GPTs, okay, that has been implemented on Ayurveda. So is that accessible to the public, or is it required any version like foodie GPT?
Yeah, they are accessible, sir. I have shared that QR code. You could just scan that QR code. You will be landing on my AI page.
Okay.
There you need to log in, sign up, sign in, subscribe. That's it. All free.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I think the lady in the first row has a question as well.
So thank you very much for the insightful session, and it is really great to see the progress in this direction, which is really useful for us as well, because India has a rich background in the Ayurveda and we must utilize it. And like my question is around the biomarkers or the markers you had mentioned for the cough, vata, pitta. And you also mentioned that according to that markers, you can create the diet plan.
Yep.
And are you planning to have the different types of food as per the Sanskrit or the various, like Satvik, Tamsik and Rajasik, and accordingly to balance different markers, like different yogas and different asanas or practices we need to follow. So are there any plans to incorporate those?
It's already been done. And they are the part of those custom GPTs, which in fact I was unable to showcase over there. One such custom GPT is Patya GPT, where I have uploaded all the Patya Patya, that is do's and don'ts that it is as explained in Ayurvedic classics. It will give you, with respect to the disease and with respect to the location of the person, geographical distribution of that individual. Like as I mentioned, if the person is from Tokyo, it will not ask him to take ragi ball. Whereas if the person is from a small village of Karnataka district, Karnataka state, then it can ask him to take either jawar roti or ragi ball. So based on such differences, it will give. That's number one. While with respect to the biomarker, yes, there are certain biomarkers, say for example, C-reactive protein or ESR. Many a times as a physician, we fail to identify the concept of toxin which is called as AMA in the body. There are certain AMA indicators as per Ayurveda, like tongue coating or certain symptoms. Many a times because of various layers with reference to the food habits, that those toxins expression can be marked. So we take the help of biomarkers like ESR and C-reactive protein. Based on that, we advise do's and don'ts with respect to diet only. Simple, ginger water. That will help the person to minimize the toxin level in the body, which will have its reflection on reduced ESR. So these are the certain ESR which we already tried. The thing is that need to be translated scientifically so that the Western doctors accept it and adopt that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have another question, at the back.
Namaste. Very nice talk. Anil Asthana from Australia. I'm a gastroenterologist and liver specialist. We do a lot of research in personalized medicine. I think allopathic and mainstream medicine's on the wrong lines in terms of personalized medicine, because Ayurveda has got a thousands of years history and validated system, just not in the language of evidence-based. Have you looked at collaborating with mainstream healthcare practitioners and researchers to try and come up with a mutual solution for this personalized medicine aspect? And if so, that's something I'd be happy to look at with you as well.
Yeah, so happy to see that allopathy doctor watching this presentation and giving your comments over the personalized medicine. So as per Ayurveda, we have various factors which determine the individual. One important aspect is Prakriti, which is seen in disease condition as well as in physiological limitations. Now what happens when he translates from different stages of pathology, right? So the gravity of the events will be so high that we have to take the help of other parameters in Ayurveda which are called as Dashavida Parikshas, 10 parameters of examining a patient, where we will be assessing the tissues that are involved and the channels that are involved, the status of the digestive fire, the way how his bowel responds for whatever the disease it may be. I am not talking just about the GI tract, sir. So considering all those parameters, Ayurvedic physician will come to conclusion and he prescribe medicine based on those parameters, those understanding. But the current problem is the time is so short that, and the GBO here is so short that we will be unable to analyze all those factors within the given span of time. And now this is the need of our hour when we can incorporate these AI technologies into our system of practice. By the time the patient enters the clinical chamber, just based on the facial recognition, it has to tell what kind of Prakriti he is. 50% of the physician job is done. By mere 4 or 5 other questions, he can analyze the Prakriti, then go for disease examination. And at the back end, with all these parameters, if the system is programmed in such a way that for this tissue impairment, this food should be recommended, and this should not be recommended. Like that, if you give all such programming instructions, then I think the days are not very far. Applying those Dashavida Pariksha Bhavas, we will be able to give more personalized prescriptions. But it needs a lot of data, diversified patient information, training the system. Long way to go, sir, but we can start. Somewhere we can start.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Dr. Prasanna. Any other questions? One more. All right. Just given the time restrictions, this will be the last question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kulkarni. I think everybody might agree that this is one of the most interesting sessions, that has come up here. I don't have a question per se, but I would really like to congratulate you that you have built such amazing tools, and being in a room of practitioners, I think we all envy you on the kind of journey that you are having and the kind of knowledge that you have. So thank you so much and all the best for your journey ahead. Yeah.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And Dr. Prasanna will be here. I know that some of you did want to scan the QR code that he was talking about. So requesting you to please come down and maybe have a little bit of an interaction with the crowd and maybe give them the QR code that they want to scan. Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, just please be a little considerate of him as well as just one person. So let's not, just barge in and overwhelm him. Please cooperate and, make it a good experience for everyone involved. Thanks. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of day 2 at Cypher 2025. From exploring AI in travel tech to quantum intelligence, urban mobility, and real-time analytics, today has been filled with insights, innovation, and forward-thinking ideas. A huge thank you to all our speakers and sponsors for making day 2 such a memorable experience. Your expertise and vision continue to drive meaningful conversations and shape the future of AI in India. We now invite you to Hall 1 for the fireside chat with Leander Pays and the Minsky Awards for Excellence in AI. We look forward to welcoming you back tomorrow for the final day of Cypher 2025 with more exciting sessions, insights, and experiences. This is Akash Deep Sharma, your host for the day, signing off. Enjoy the evening. Get home safe. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I've seen this place,
artificial intelligence,
AI, and the vibe around that. AI. Over the years, the largest AI conference in India.
We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell
Cypher has
stories that
definitely
matter.
attained a cult status.